Before America can be great again, she must be free again. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
We got a lot of breaking news behind the scenes. That's why I barely had time to skid into my seat here. Incredibly important transmission straight ahead. But first, John Bowne has filed an extremely powerful report dealing with the fact that Linda Sarsour and her Soros groups are openly funding sedition inside this country.
Respect this president of the United States of America.
Due to the broad and ironclad protections of the First Amendment, a charge of sedition against a U.S. citizen is extremely rare. Nevertheless, sedition remains a crime in the United States under U.S. Code 2384, a federal statute that punishes seditious conspiracy, and 18 U.S. Code 2385, which outlaws advocating the overthrow of the federal government by force. Generally, a person may be punished for sedition only when he or she makes statements that create a clear and present danger to rights that the government may lawfully protect. A person found guilty of seditious conspiracy or advocating the overthrow of the government may be fined and sentenced to up to 20 years in prison. States also maintain laws that punish similar advocacy and conspiracy against the state government. Brooklyn-born Palestinian-American activist Linda Sarsour is walking a tightrope as she tests those federal statutes.
When we stand up to those who oppress our communities, that Allah accepts from us that as a form of jihad, that we are struggling against tyrants and rulers, not only abroad in the Middle East or in the other side of the world, but here in these United States of America, where you have fascists and white supremacists and Islamophobes reigning in the White House.
She won't condemn the acid attacks, the women having their genitals cut off, the gays being thrown off buildings, any of it. Any of it. Pro-life feminists aren't allowed to march in those deals, but the Muslim women are. I mean, it's just the most sickening, evil group, using the fact that we're so tolerant to run all over us. Well, guess what? We're awake now, witch. So enjoy your little Hamas meeting, witch. We see you, witch.
Do you defend what she said about this president and really about this country in that soundbite?
You know, jihad is an Arabic word mentioned both in the Quran and the Bible. Bridget, she is from Lebanon. She knows Arabic, and she knows this word is mentioned also in the Bible. If you leave it for us, jihad means to be a better person, more honest, more truthful, and more trustworthy. But, of course, if you leave this jihad for ISIS, leave the Quran for ISIS or Bible for KKK, they have different interpretation of it.
Linda Sarsour is the poster child for this red-green axis. She is getting leftist groups to basically push the narrative that Islam is peaceful, Islam has nothing to do with the problem, and yet from a national security standpoint, Islam has everything to do with the problem. Sharia is the blueprint by which all of these jihadi groups operate, whether it's Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, the Muslim Brotherhood, Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, fill in the blank. They all say that they're Muslims waging jihad to establish an Islamic State under Sharia, and yet it is people like Linda Sarsour working with the media and groups like CARE, which is Hamas, working with the media to say that this problem has nothing to do with Islam, and it's just factually false.
It is. It's very radical. She was specifically inciting hatred and violence. If these words were coming out of any other person, we would have said, well, you know, that really overstepped the line. But coming from Linda Sarsour, you have to understand her background. This is a lady that comes from a long line of terrorists. Her family members are, as we speak, sitting in Israeli jails for conviction of terrorism. When you look at her praising in her speech at ISNA, Imam Siraj Wahaj, who was a co-conspirator in the first World Trade Center bombing in 1993, she called him her hero and her mentor.
Sarsour is rising as a spokesperson for Sharia law's gradual wedge in the U.S., ironically laying the groundwork to create no-go zones similar to those all over Europe where women aren't welcome. John Bowne reporting for Infowars.com.
You can't make this stuff up. Well, we got some really good news yesterday. Hillary Clinton is to lead the Democratic Party in 2018 midterm elections, which pretty much the campaigning force started in the last few weeks. She has incredible negative numbers. Her own party hates her. The Sanders supporters hate her because she stole the nomination from him. But it gets better. Nancy Pelosi is to be the co-head with her, along with, you can't make this up, Elizabeth Warren, a.k.a. Pocahontas. all incredibly unpopular, even in their own party. And they've tried to unseat, obviously, Nancy Pelosi. They tried to have Hillary put out to pasture, but it doesn't happen. But you know what? Maybe it's good to keep the old guard in, because even though they're super unpopular, if you look at who's coming up next, it's even more frightening. Linda Sarsour, who has at least 3 close family members in Israeli prisons for terrorism, is running around everywhere. We just played clips in the last segment. If you just joined us, we're going to play more of this coming up, saying activate jihad in America, overthrow Trump. If you're a Muslim, don't assimilate. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, is a Palestinian, which means basically a vagabond in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia won't take him. Jordan won't take him. Egypt won't take him. Syria won't take him. Sudan won't take him. Somalia won't take him. Iran won't take them. No one will take a Palestinian, because most of the Palestinians were never in, quote, Palestine, or where Israel now is, where Jerusalem is, predating Palestine, as it's been called for 1,000 years. No one will take them. How many Palestinians has Saudi Arabia taken? Not one. Because any Arab will tell you, or any Muslim will tell you, that Palestinians 24/7 are trying to take over your political process. And wherever they go, discord, terrorism starts. And she gives these speeches where she says, stay angry, stay mad. Your life in America is miserable. You are fighting the evil white supremacist president. These are quotes. And she's got all these whacked out crazy feminists supporting a woman who pushes genital mutilation and who supported the jihad operations and the Arab Spring that killed close to 1 million people and enslaved over 200,000 women, many of them small children. Linda Sarsour is a veritable witch demon. But that's the rising star in the Democratic Party. She was given $200+ million just last year, and hundreds of millions more this year by George Soros to lead and to run with the organization she captains, the feminist movement in America. I knew who she was, but when I saw she was leading the D.C. march the day after the inauguration on the 21st, and I was there witnessing it, and I went and looked up who was funding it. It was $280-something million to her group and the subgroups to fund just those nationwide marches that day, handing out thousands of American flag hijabs, head coverings, to women. I came back on air and said, ladies and gentlemen, a radical Muslim is running the women's event. I couldn't believe it. Now, 6-7 months later, it's all over the news, but like it's a good thing. USA Today, oh, the new face of feminism, the hijab, and Linda Sarsour. You can't make this up. The family member and the political operative of Hamas. She speaks at Hamas meetings. You cannot make this up. And look, I know everybody's been talking about her for a while. It shows how we'll put up with anything in this country. Now, that said, let me shift gears into this. The National Rifle Association is rebranding itself to be more hardcore and more political. Very proud of our audience, and I'm very proud of people like the Motor City madman Ted Nugent when he was an NRA board member, who was instrumental in getting NRA back to being hardcore and not milquetoast. It was Gun Owners of America, who we should get Larry Pratt back on this week. In fact, we will. Larry Pratt, who helped keep the NRA honest. Remember, they used to even support assault weapons bans back in the 90s and stuff, semi-auto bans. I mean, the NRA got bad for a while. But thanks to activists and members keeping them straight, they've gotten more hardcore and they've gotten more popular. Well, now they've got people like Jesse James and Dana Loesch and others that are what you'd say radicalizing the NRA, which radicalism, extremism, and defense of liberty is no vice, to quote Barry Goldwater, who is the granddaddy of our whole counter movement against the globalists, make no mistake. A chilling National Rifle Association ad gaining traction online appears to be an open call to violence. This is from 11 days ago. The video has tens of millions of views on different platforms, and it's a 1-minute ad that sounds like I could have said it or you could have said it because it's truth. It's not plagiarism by the NRA of the Liberty Movement. It's truth. It's self-evident. In fact, I'm going to cut some promos that are basically a nod to this piece. And we should all put out our own YouTube videos and our own testimonies about why we have the Second Amendment. Everybody should do it on a webcam or on your local access TV or on talk radio. Everyone should give testament to why we have the Second Amendment. And we're going to air that ad here in just a moment. In fact, I told the crew last week I want to put it into rotation here to run on the network and on the radio show. In fact, I want the 1-minute ad to actually run on the full GCN network. I want it to run in our ad slots that are $1,000 a minute. Sounds like a lot. It's not for syndicated radio. I'm going to take some of my ad time I've got on the network, and I'm running this for the NRA because it's hardcore. And if we don't all contribute to the fight, we're going to lose. If we contribute, we win. Time, energy, money, prayers, whatever you got. A chilling National Rifle Association ad gaining traction online appears to be an open call to violence. No, they're violent. They're radicalizing. They're trying to overthrow the country. They're funded by Soros. In the promos I'm cutting, in the news pieces I'm cutting, we show you who's behind it. We just go further. Those will be out in a few days. As a nod to this, a chilling National Rifle Association ad gaining traction online appears to be an open call to violence. No, we said the clenched fist of truth, speaking out, information warfare, taking action against you, politically, economically, legally, legislatively, praying, all of it. We're winning the info war. You're the ones calling for the death of Trump. You're the ones calling for violence. You're the ones calling for hashtag hunt Republicans. So we're going to play her piece and then the incredible over-the-top response by LA activist of Black Lives Matter, the wholly owned subsidiary of George Soros, respond to the NRA. Dignity and power now. I want to explain something, ladies and gentlemen. All they've done is taken KKK psychology that I've decried and spoken out against because it's a tool of division and control, and they have deployed it into minority groups. And they've gotten Apple and Google and Facebook and Twitter and all the big foundations to give hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to BLM to normalize cop killing, to normalize having a chip on your shoulder, to normalize colleges from New York to Washington State, from Texas to Florida, saying no whites are allowed this weekend. Remember in Missouri last year? They lost like a third now of their students over it. The white professors were saying no whites allowed on the commons ground at the park in the middle of the university. And white students were trying to walk on there with Asian students from the newspaper, and the white college professors come over and say, no whites allowed, and then say, give me some muscle. And starts trying to call some black guy over to be the muscle. This is liberals trying to engage in race baiting and using race and tribalism as a weapon, just like Evergreen faculty demand investigation of professor who dissented from No Whites Day. And now the media has to defend that. So let's go ahead and go over this. Let's go ahead and play the NRA Dana Loesch piece, and then we'll get into their counterstrike. Here it is.
They use their media to assassinate real news. They use their schools to teach children that their president is another Hitler. They use their movie stars and singers and comedy shows and award shows to repeat their narrative over and over again. And then they use their ex-president to endorse the resistance, all to make them march, make them protest, make them scream racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia, to smash windows, burn cars, shut down interstates and airports, bully and terrorize the law-abiding, until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom, is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
And I'm Alex Jones, and I am the InfoWar, the key to keeping this restoration of our republic nonviolent. But to win the info war, we've got to have overwhelming force, overwhelming truth, and overwhelming energy, which we have, and we're beginning to major league. Just got chills. Wow. Because truth feels so good, doesn't it? Major league turn the tide. I mean, we are winning. But it only makes the victory that much more special and cherished, doesn't it? It's like a child that gets really sick when they're little and you almost lose them. And then you end up loving them and needing them and caring about them even more. Think of what all our ancestors of every race, color, and creed, all the human race, have gone through together, all the striving, and how far we've come, the wars, the captivity, the enslavement, the degradation, the sorrow, but also the triumph and the victories and the commitment. And where we are with this wondrous planet and the wondrous technology and the wondrous discoveries and the secrets of the universe that we've already cracked. And so many more that we're exponentially about to all share. The globalists are desperate that we not have access to this. The ultimate racism, the ultimate anti-human, globalist eugenics movement that says humanity's failed and over, and that machines are going to override us, and the elite are going to merge with silicon, and that to do that, they must first shed themselves of us, the cancer. What type of satanic, whacked out crap is that? That's what you get from the priest at Google, the priest at Apple, the priest at IBM, the priest at Microsoft. That is their religion. 10 years ago, I put that in the film Endgame, A Blueprint for Global Enslavement. It's free online. I hope it's not pearls before swine. Risked my life to make that film. They almost killed me over it. They were so upset they came after us hardcore. Back then, the media attacked it and said it was insane. You watch that film, it all came true. It's got the quotes of the world leaders of how they worship Lucifer. And the Lucifer has told them, you will be gods, but first you must destroy the humans. And they're humans themselves, but they believe they must shed themselves of that form and transcend, transcendence, like the stupid Johnny Depp movie. And then he's in the ether and in the atmosphere, nanotech, and guides the world perfectly as the digital Valhalla and the digital second coming. It is a total setup. But the globalists have been given all this power, so they can't believe they've been conned. So let's go to Black Lives Matter and their response to Dana Loesch, saying that basically the Second Amendment is inherently racist. Even though the communists are marching with their Second Amendment, we have a right to defend ourselves with our Second Amendment. But we don't want that. We're winning the info war. And imagine if you start a fight with the libertarians, the conservatives, the veterans, 90% of the veterans being patriots, the police, the military, the patriots, the people with the resources, the middle class, multicultural groups that want freedom. You're fools. I've been to your communist rallies. I've been to your Antifa rallies. You guys look like you don't even know how to wipe your butts. And I don't say that meanly. You look uncared for. You can tell you were put in a crib. You were never taken care of. Most of you were foster children who weren't even given enough milk. You've got shriveled brains. You're 6 times more likely not to give to charity, 9 times more likely to steal in major surveys. Harvard, University of Canada, Toronto, search engine, liberals more likely to steal, more selfish. Hundreds of studies. I understand you've been told by the corporate media you're going to get ahead. If you can pull down the middle class, you'll get some booty. You'll get some goodies. You'll get some spoils. You'll get some loot. You're not going to get it. They didn't get it in Venezuela. They didn't get it in Russia. They didn't get it in North Korea. They didn't get it in China. You don't get it. Limited free market is what has developed untold wealth. True free market will take us to the stars and beyond. But you don't understand that. They don't want you to know there's unlimited resources in the human mind. We've already come 95% of the way we need to go to life extension out to a point where we're technically immortal. We are already there. We're at the threshold and are facing the globalists. And once they're out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, it's unlimited what we're about to have. But of course, they're teaching us all to hate each other and kill each other and act like fools. And a lot of you aren't going to win, and you're not going to transcend because you have bought into this either as a globalist or as a minion. either selfishly as a globalist or selfishly as a minion. You're profane, and you're not meant to pass the gate. And it's very sad. Now let's go ahead and show the George Soros-funded response to the NRA.
They use their guns to assassinate black people. They use their schools to funnel black students through a school-to-prison pipeline. They use their state institutions, bought politicians, business conglomerates, and white supremacist domestic terrorists to incite violence over and over again. And then they use their new president to enact a law and order administration, all to make them shoot first, to make them ask questions later, make them scream, "I thought he had a gun in his hand," and "I feared for my life," and "he matched the description of a suspect," and "she was threatening us." To shoot and kill Philando Castile, Charlena Lyles, Keisha Michael, Keith Bursey, and Waukesha Wilson, until the only option left is for black people to disrupt the systems that keep us oppressed and build the kinds of communities in which we want to live. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse to kill more of us. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our communities and our struggle for freedom, is to fight this violence with the raised, clenched black fist of resistance. We are Black Lives Matter, and we are freedom's future place. Wait, hold up. What's with the aggressive fear-mongering video tactics? Someone cut the music and bring up the lights. Better. We're talking about our lives here. When the NRA issues a public call to their constituents inciting violence against people who are constitutionally fighting for their lives, we don't take that lightly.
No, I'm sure.
We know that we are not safe, but we are not scared either. We will continue to produce media, teach students, march, and protest to not only protect the First Amendment as fiercely as the NRA protects the Second, but to protect our lives from gun-toting racists. We demand the NRA immediately remove their dangerous propaganda videos narrated by conservative talk radio hosts Dana Lash and Grant Stinchfield.
Good luck. Yeah, let's get rid of that First Amendment, just like you want to get rid of the Second. Okay, let's lay out the facts to these useful idiots. Let's look at these useful morons on screen for TV viewers. The #1 cause of death for black people in this country is abortion. 51% are killed by abortion. Okay, that's #1. I fight that. Not because I'm some white knight, but because I realize all our lives are connected, and I realize it's wrong. Even if a lot of black folks have chips put on their shoulders and are weaponized against me and filled full of racist crap, I still take the high road because I'm on the high road. Now, let's expand. We could pull these numbers up. It's less than 100 blacks shot and killed by police every year. You can pull up the numbers. It's over 2,000 that die every year in Chicago, blacks, and 90+% are black on black. I mean, you can pull the numbers up. The numbers vary every year, but just randomly type into Google for yourself. Number of blacks shot by police every year versus number of blacks shot by blacks. I mean, the graphs are everywhere. We've shown them many times. Or the number of blacks shot by police versus the number of blacks shot in Chicago by other blacks. I mean, it's in the thousands in one city and the low hundreds nationwide for police. Are there some cases where bad cops shoot innocent black people? Absolutely. But the media takes those and magnifies them, where one dead person is a tragedy, 10,000 dying is a statistic. And then these folks right here are funded by hardcore globalists that funded the Arab Spring, that funded all these other big events, the overthrow of Ukraine, these civil wars, trying to start one where blacks are the trigger for it and then the scapegoat for it, for the Civil War. You can look at the numbers. There you go. Blacks killed by whites. You can see the numbers right there, super low. Whites killed by blacks. We're talking basically 15, 20 times, depending on the jurisdiction, higher. You got 50 blacks killed by whites. You got 450 whites killed by blacks. That's U.S. News and World Report. Not the statistic I was looking for. I'm just going from memory. But we'll find it during the break and come back, because I just thought of this as we were showing the video, because I've gone over, everybody knows these numbers. I mean, we're talking 100 and something blacks shot and killed by cops every year. Most of the time it's actually black officers doing it, because to stop all the race stuff, they mainly put black officers in the black areas now. So you got 100 and something blacks being killed. Some of them innocent, it's wrong. You've got thousands of blacks killed in Chicago every year by blacks, isn't even on the radar screen. You got most of the blacks never getting born being killed by the globalists, by the liberals, by the abortuaries. Then you've got the gangster black culture rap music that pushes blacks to act like thugs and everybody else, so they're inducted into the prison system so that the schools do become pipelines into prison. That's one of the only true things that that ignorant woman said. But again, now that they're going to try to get blacks to act more racist, act more violent, and Black Lives Matter groups are going to push killing cops, which are totally innocent, getting shot in the back of the head, like this poor black cop got executed last week in New York, and then the mayor wouldn't even go to her funeral or memorial. Went and helped run the riots over in Germany, which CNN said weren't riots. They're trying to start a revolution, and Black Lives Matter is the most idiotic moron group and is now bordering on terrorism and is being sued for it. So good luck, idiots. Facts don't matter to people like Black Lives Matter because they go out and find chip on the shoulder, arrested development, racist, who want to blame every problem in the world with white people. And you see that in the news where major universities are teaching coast to coast the problem with whiteness. Professors every day are in the news saying whites need to be exterminated. White professors are saying if you are pregnant with a white baby, abort the baby. Whites are inherently evil. Genetically, they're inherently bad. This is complete Hitlerism turned on its head and deployed by the left. And everybody knows we're not exaggerating. The left is so racist, so race-baiting, inculcating, wounding the minds of black people particularly, with such foaming at the mouth, anti-white black nationalism, it is meant to put them into their total minority group, then prep by gangster rap for prison. So the very conduit of school to prison that Black Lives Matter was talking about earlier in that video, that conduit, probably being produced by some liberal white guy, we know funded by Soros, is actually being run by them. And that's the fact. Think about how incredible that is. So during the break, they were printing off some of the statistics and some of the numbers, and my memory served. You'll get a couple hundred blacks killed, or less than 100 killed. You'll get 300 or so shot by police. And then you add that to thousands and thousands of blacks shooting each other and killing each other in Chicago alone every year, but nobody focuses on that. Nobody gets into that. Nobody wants to talk about that. Because it's not the fun of claiming that there is this epidemic of white cops running around shooting black people, when the truth is you can just type this into a search engine. Police are more likely to shoot white people than any other group statistically. Not just that whites are a majority in some areas, but per capita, police shoot more white people more often than any other group, and they admit they slow roll into predominantly poor black areas because they don't want to be blamed with racism. And so that causes crime to go up and more blacks to be killed and allows a culture of crime to take over. Actually, they found some of the headlines. Let's pull them up. This study found race matters in police shootings, but the results may surprise you. More whites are shot per capita than blacks. The Washington Post actually got that right back in 2016. These numbers are known. The Washington Post launched a real-time database to track fatal police shootings, and the project continues this year. As of Sunday, 1,502 people have been shot and killed by on-duty police officers since January 1st, 2015. Of them, 732 were white, 381 were black, and 382 were of another or unknown race. The vast majority were white. But again, it doesn't matter. There are some bad cops that shoot people they shouldn't. Everybody knows that. The point is, George Soros and the globalists know there's a rebellion against the corrupt government. They know there's a mass awakening. They want to short-circuit it with a bunch of race-baiting, race-fighting, and everybody killing each other. It's in the WikiLeaks. They're trying to start a race war. And then a lot of people are self-centered out there in the population. They think I'm against a race war because I'm afraid. They think I'm against a race war because I'm scared I'm going to get killed. No, it's the opposite. I'm scared you're going to get killed. I've got security. I've got firearms. I live defended, behind a gate, behind walls. If there's a race war in this country, it's going to be the minorities that share the main brunt of the slaughterhouse. And that's not a threat, that's a fact. But why would I feel good if you got killed? I'm trying to keep you from aborting your children. I'm trying to tell Mexicans that they've got a 5-year program to forcibly inoculate every Mexican girl at the age of 11, and it's been linked to sterilization. But you're La Raza, funded by the Fortune 500. Your Mecha, funded by George Soros and the big foundations, wants to wound you with racist Chicano brainwashing to keep you stunted under their control in your barrio, under the management of your local Mexican Politico Don in the Mexican mafia that keeps your people down and sells you drugs and pipelines you into the prison. But nobody sells out their people like the black leaders, and that's well known. Mexico orders HPV vaccinations for all 5th grade girls, saying it will end threat of cervical cancer, which is basically so rare it's unbelievable. A lot of folks say, shut up, Alex, let Gates do this. Let the UN do it. Hey, I'm not racist, but they're coming after us. Why are you exposing all this? Because I have to tell the truth. And I have to tell you what's going on. Doesn't mean Black Lives Matter is going to listen. Doesn't mean Mecha and La Raza are going to listen. And it doesn't mean if down the road we fail to stop this race war, big horde of people are coming down the street for me and my family, shooting guns off in the air and burning buildings, I'm going to light up whoever I got to defend my family. But it doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy it. I'll do what has to be done, just like I've done in the information war. But Trump's trying his best to turn prosperity back on and to unify America, and we're trying our best as well up against the likes of George Soros, a horrible, nasty, who's overthrown over 80 countries, crashed over 100 economies, who admits he worked for Hitler and says he's proud of it and doesn't apologize. And that's why he gets the ADL Award of the Year. It's all part of a sick joke giving Obama a peace prize. But even the Washington Post, that lies so much, has been bought out by Bezos now in the last year, so it's even worse, admits that police shooting database and federal crime statistics, deaths by homicide, and goes on to say there is no sign of bias unless it means white people being shot. Now I'm done talking about that. I want to get to the really, 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 really big news that is so illustrative of CNN's deception. Then I'll get into military news, political news. Mike Cernovich is going to be joining us. Love it when he co-hosts with me, and then we'll open the phones up in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th hours today. But before we go any further, this broadcast is listener supported. This broadcast exists because people like you have supported it, because in the free market of ideas, you have believed in what we're doing. You've fact-checked what we're doing, and you've seen we've done the research, and you've helped us spread the word. You've helped us with documentation. You've helped us with prayers. You've helped us financially. You are the InfoWar. And we are running specials throughout the month of July that are unprecedented. I've never run specials for a whole month, but I'm doing it because you're responding, and a lot of new customers are coming in, and people are finding out how great these products are. We have specials running right now of free shipping store-wide. That's a big deal on many of the items especially. Free shipping store-wide, Brain Force Plus with 20% more, the Great Nootropic, amazing brain pill, 30% off. Super Male Vitality, 30% off. Survival Shield X2, 30% off. The Good Halogen. Z-Shield, our latest product, heavy metal cleanser, detoxifier, 30% off. All of our high-quality storable foods under the label InfoWars Select, powered by My Patriot, 30 to 40% off. No one can even approach that. Emmerich Essentials, 40% off on the outdoor pack, the sunscreen and bug spray that's all organic. All of it available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. But I am ending the storable food 30 to 40% off today. That was supposed to end last Friday. I noticed it's not been taken down, so we are doing that again. That's going to end today. All the other specials I'm going to continue until they sell out. The issue is X2 about to sell out. Brain Force about to sell out. Super Male Vitality about to sell out. But the good news is I will continue specials on things like Myco ZX that was sold out more than 5 months. It is a cutting edge, it's only been available in the highest level clinics before, probiotic that doesn't just go after the bad bacteria, it goes after the yeast, the fungus, the candida. It is 30% off, even though we can't keep it in stock, when you get it with the probiotic Biome Defense 50 billion live cultures. We got rid of the Biome Defense smaller pills with the 25 billion because people didn't like the half power when they only like the full power 50 billion. Super high quality, very best out there. We keep it refrigerated. It's amazing, but you don't have to. InfoWarsLife.com. That's 30% off right now. That's 30% off right now. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. And when you fund this operation, it makes the globalists so incredibly angry because they want to be able to shut down sponsors. They don't want us creating our own economy. They are so frightened. It's in the WikiLeaks. It's in the Clinton Foundation documents, their Library Foundation, that they have always been afraid of us selling books or videos or anybody creating a new economy. They were writing about Joseph Farah in '93 in the Western Journalism Center. He created WorldNet Daily a few years later, saying, if libertarians or conservatives or nationalists or even leftists, they say, start selling books and videos that we don't control or having their own newspapers, it's over for us. They'll create their own new economy. So they instructed mainstream media to call us conspiracy theorists, to say we were evil if we sold anything, and to call for us to be shut down. When I say us, I wasn't on air for 2 more years, but that's what they did to everybody. And look how they failed, and look how they're collapsing, and look in her own words, she's losing the info war. Lastly, it's been sold out for close to 6 months as well. I've signed a contract with Mitsubishi America that produces the only organically produced bio-PQQ. All the other stuff out there is synthetic. They have the patent. This is the only one with 175 plus studies. It's the only one with the proven nerve regrowth. It's the only one in Europe that's a drug. People buy basically the same formula for $300 to $600 at medical clinics. My dad was at a big fancy medical clinic. He's a doctor about 4 years ago, and he said, son, they are selling this for $400 a bottle, the stuff he had. He said, we can go out and get it and bottle it for $60 a bottle, sell it for $130, have 100% markup, and undercut the entire market. Well, we did it. Except I'm offering it 20% off, even though it's been sold out. Try DNA Force for yourself. But warning, maybe you've had back pain before. Maybe you've had nerves that were cut off. This creates tingling. A lot of people have their feeling come back. I'm not going to make claims. Just research true, organically based bio-PQQ. And it's not technically organic. The other stuff's synthetic, completely lab-made. This is made from organic sources, but the bacteria is GMO. I'll just tell you up front. But it's not like the super high-tech stuff. It's a bacteria that's just been bred to be able to then secrete and produce this, just like beer is bacteria. There's a lot of good bacteria, obviously, but this one, that's how the Japanese do it. But it's bioidentical. This stuff is only found in comets and in trace amounts in blueberries. Yes, this is what, I'm not kidding. Look up bio-PQQ. That's just one of the things in it. It's got the organic CoQ10, these acids and amino acids that help you upload it. It's an amazing product. My dad developed it with Dr. Group. InfoWarsLife.com. We made it better than the stuff $300 or $600, okay, that you go get from doctors. So InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. It is back in stock. DNA Force. Sign up for auto ship. An additional 10% off. That's a big savings with things like that. Okay. Yesterday morning, I get up to see the 4th day of riots in Hamburg and read the headline in the Associated Press that 470 plus officers have serious injuries. Then I see a Paul Joseph Watson tweet. I mean, if you see the videos we're showing right now as a radio listener, but Infowars.com, Infowars.com/show, you will see it. It looks like the city's been bombed by bombers in World War II or something. I mean, we're talking about fires over 5-10 square miles. Hundreds of burning vehicles, dozens of burned shops, buildings on fire. George Soros-funded scum of the earth running around attacking the G20, even though these are the very globalists that have empowered them, put them on welfare, give them a welfare state, give them everything they want. This is like something out of Soylent Green. Protesters flood streets of Hamburg as G20 wraps up. Now, the headline from CNN that Paul Watson tweeted that we'll put on screen is Hamburg, Germany, an eclectic and international mix of demonstrators peacefully tramped through the streets of Hamburg on Saturday and Sunday, a show of anti-capitalist muscle in earshot of the world's top leaders who were finishing up the G20 summit. There it is. Peaceful demonstrators flooded the streets. We haven't even shown you the dramatic footage yet that's on Red State Rising that shows it from a skyscraper and just shows like scores of fires from a bird's eye view. I mean, it is crazy. We'll show you that, I guess, after the break. Now, understand, is CNN trying to be absurdist? Is CNN trying to be a parody? Is CNN trying to be like Monty Python in the Holy Grail, where the knight that goes nyeh and who wants a shrubbery has his arms and legs cut off and keeps saying it's merely a flesh wound and keeps denying that any of that's happened or gone on? Ladies and gentlemen, I have a stack of news articles here from mainstream news admitting that it was, quote, an orgy of violence, that people are in critical condition, that thousands were injured, 400-plus police officers. Look at these headlines for yourself. CNN claims G20 protest was peaceful. That's a Kit Daniels article up on Infowars.com that boils all this down, that everybody should get to, that everybody should tweet at Real Alex Jones, that everybody should share. Because he boils it all down and shows what really happened and shows the fake articles put out by CNN. But here's other mainstream media that won't even be as deceptive as they are. Merkel defends decision to host G20 in Hamburg after rioting. Bloomberg. Germans angry over orgy of violence at Merkel's pre-election G20. Reuters. Water cannon and burned out cars, violent riots continue in Hamburg after G20 summit. RT. ISIS poster girl, that's a whole other article. Arab refugees in Germany can't understand why G20 protesters are rioting. They say, you get everything, they're bringing us in, why are you rioting? I mean, even the Muslims don't understand it. So, I ask you this. Why would CNN come out in a bunch of headlines and videos and say all weekend it was peaceful when Hamburg's been on fire since last Wednesday? Why do they lie? Now, we make jokes about CNN, but there are still some people that believe CNN. And so what's happening is mainstream media knows they've been found out. They know they're liars. They know they have no credibility. They know they have a 6% trust rate, even the Associated Press's national study last year. So all they can do now is be disruptive and troll the public. But they're allied with big money and with a lot of civil servants and bureaucrats and also losers. Losers like company, and a lot of losers want to be disruptive of society and success. And so that's really the position CNN has taken editorially, is that whatever the truth is, just lie. Whatever's happening, blame it on the other side. So they want to demonize the G20. They want to play the part of supporting revolution and the Arab Spring and the radical jihads and the overthrow of Ukraine. They're funding the cultural revolution of George Soros and his disruptive culture squads all over the world. And they want to overthrow even socialist regimes in Germany and put something even worse in. And so that's why you have the G20 calling for global government. And you've got them pushing the open borders and bringing in the Islamists and all the rest of it. But still, George Soros and the big foundations sent in the groups to burn down large parts of Hamburg. And then even the Muslims said, we don't understand. They let us in. They give us everything free. You don't even work here in Germany? Why are you burning everything? Germany has capitulated. That's the point, though. They want you to see the violence legitimized all over the world and believe you're going to be green-lighted if you do it here. If you go and shoot a cop in the back of the head, or if you go and club somebody over the head with a bike lock, or if you go as a mob of men and drag some woman off that tries to go hear Milo speak, that you're a hero. So they have to say it's peaceful to give you political backing in the summer of rage, so that as more cops and more citizens and more libertarians and more Christians and more conservatives get killed, there's no opposition to it because no one reports on it. Just like when a guy screams Allah Akbar and stabs a cop, or kills a school teacher, or shoots up a bar, or shoots up a church, or shoots up their Christmas party in San Bernardino, or goes and shoots up a gay bar, you don't call it Islamic. You say it's a right-wing hate crime. And when Congressman Scalise gets shot, still fighting for his life, back in critical condition with infections, and a couple cops get shot, you say it's Trump's fault. And then you put out the hashtag Hunt Republicans. You arrogantly double and triple and quadruple down to infinity because you have nothing to lose. You're cornered scum. And you keep the illusion up that you're confident and you're in charge, so that all of us that are in the majority of every color, of every creed, feel like we're the minority. But that illusion's falling. You got to ask yourself what's going to come next. Protesters flood the streets of Hamburg and peacefully trample through the streets. CNN. Total, in-your-face, crazy fake news. Why would they do it? Because they've decided to own who they are, the villains. Zucker, I guarantee you, has sat in those meetings and said, we're known to be liars, let's go with it. Let's be as disruptive as possible. Let's call everything truthful lies. Here it is. Got the headlines right here. The Muslims are saying, why are you doing this? Germany has submitted. You got to read this article. Arab refugees in Germany can't understand why G20 protesters are rioting. They go on to say, they've been totally open and done whatever we want. Why are you doing it? They've submitted to us. Why are you burning it? It's ours. Hamburg is ours. Why are you burning it? Because it's an example.
Visit GCN.
It's to set larger fires. Stay with us. All right, Mike Cernovich is going to be co-hosting with us in the next hour, covering the waterfront, taking your phone calls. Got some really good news. Hillary and Pelosi and others are supposed to honcho stuff as the new Democratic Party leaders talk about more failure for the last failure. But first, I want to air another report on jihad breaking of its own weight with John Bound. And then we'll come back after we hear that John Bound report, and we will talk to Mike Cernovich. Roman God. French President Macron has declared he will govern France like Jupiter, the Roman king of the gods, shortly after officials told the media his thought process was too complex, close quote, for journalists to understand. This is the total mental illness insanity of the elites, literally saying, let them eat cake, as the Islamist Muslims pour in mass. Austria deploys military to Italian border as migrant crisis explodes. That's up on Infowars.com. Linking to AFP and the Associated Press. And Europe's cities, centers sound the alarm that there aren't any Germans or French or anybody left. AFP. And then they're not welcome. It's no-go zones. Wow, you mean people that aren't white can act racist too? Oh, in fact, just as much so, or even more so? There's no Christian background?
To be a true Muslim, you have to believe in Islam as a religion and as a state. So it is impossible for someone to be a true Muslim and a true American at the same time. Because Muslims always look to live under Islamic Sharia, not under American Constitution. I am one of them. Trust me. I know him. I was very involved with my Muslim community for the first 10 years here in the United States. And I heard them a million times saying that we are here to eventually replace the American Constitution with Islamic Sharia.
60% believe Islam is incompatible with French society. Well, don't worry. Once you're brain damaged from enough vaccines, you won't care. Over 5,000 cases of female genital mutilation in England over the past year alone as they cut full-grown women's genitals off. But that's okay. It's Muslim. And Bill Gates finally says something I agree with. Bill Gates warns Angela Merkel's open-door migrant policy has left Europe at breaking point and calls on leaders to stem the flow from Africa. But he's been pushing this before, but he says it's going to cause a rebellion and that they're going to lose control. He's only saying that because they've pushed too far. ISIS cornered in Mosul as Iraq prepares victory celebrations. That's right, Trump and our U.S. military, but his leadership, has almost smashed ISIS that Obama and the globalists created. Obama and NATO were behind the whole Arab Spring, the whole invasion force, all of it. Our military said, Assad, you want to go back to England, don't you? You weren't even raised here. Your dad was a dictator. You're trying to democratize. They've used that as a way to take over your country. Agree to leave and hold elections when we kick ISIS, Al-Qaeda out, and we will not help Al-Qaeda and ISIS take over. That was our military's compromise against Obama. And now we're here 5 years later, and it's time for Assad. He made that agreement to begin to segue out. That's the agreement he made.
Many nations look to the Geneva process to resolve the Syrian conflict in a way that produces stability and gives the Syrian people the opportunity to determine their own political future. And our hope is Bashar al-Assad will not be a part of that future.
The United States and Russia have reached agreement on a ceasefire in southwest Syria, 3 U.S. officials said Friday, as President Donald Trump held his first meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The U.S. and Russia have been backing opposing sides of the Syrian war, with Moscow supporting Syria President Bashar Assad and Washington supporting rebels who have been fighting Assad. Both the U.S. and Russia oppose the Islamic State group in Syria. Now, that's AP lying right there. I've interviewed the folks that brief Congress, both on air and off air, some of them generals, some of them colonels, you know, Colonel Schaefer. 98% of them are Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, Wahhabist. They're Sunni. They are backed by Saudi Arabia. They are the group. And so when you hear the U.S. has been backing the moderate rebels, that was under Obama. By the way, I've decided what to do. I have not released the Megyn Kelly hours and hours of interviews that we recorded while she was here because she lied, doesn't said it wasn't a hit piece, and we knew it was. But her ratings have gone from 7 million to 2 million. She's done. Everybody hates her. Joe Rogan did a piece last week saying she's over, that, you know, anybody that basically does one of those hit pieces on me, like Piers Morgan or anybody else, is done. She was done when she took on Trump, but she's really done now. But I thought now's the time to release some big chunks of it this week, because we can, in the aftermath, show her destroyed. And I told her at the end of the interview, I said, I know this is a hit piece. I know you lied to me, and you will be destroyed. You will be defeated. And she laughed at me, and I said, keep laughing. You know you're not going to have a job soon. And then she got basically tears in her eyes. And I know behind the scenes that she's been crying. She's a total basket case. And, you know, I feel sorry for her. She's a mercenary that they sent up against the resistance. I could have been in a coma, and the public would have been for me. I didn't do that good a job. I'm all about the truth. I didn't do a very good job. I shouldn't have let her in here for 12 hours. I was tired at night, but they still edited it together to make me look like a bumbling idiot. And it blew up in their face, galactic style, and now they admit what Cernovich said weeks after, that the word is she's gone. And what Cernovich said from his sources that night from NBC was they're looking for her exit. Well, now, weeks later, the word is she's bye-bye. And it's not about being vindictive to Megyn Kelly, but she thinks because she gets paid $18 million a year by NBC to run around doing hatchet jobs on America that people aren't going to hate her. Of course no one watches the show. Of course Dateline had 10 million viewers when she started. A week later, 7.5, then 5, then 3.3, then 2 million. They've lost 8 million of their viewers in 6 weeks because people are sick of the globalists. They're sick of Hollywood. They're sick of celebrity-type talk show hosts like her. They want teleprompter free. They want raw. They want real. Speaking of real, Mike Cernovich is riding shotgun with us this hour, into the next if you'd like. We're going to open the phones up at the bottom of the hour. First-time callers on any subject I've raised. CNN, in scores of reports. When I saw it, I said, this can't be real. When Paul Watson tweeted it yesterday morning, We can put his tweet up on screen for TV viewers. And I went, and there it was. Their headline that the protests were all peaceful and loving and good. Here it is. Hamburg, an eclectic and international mix of demonstrators peacefully tramped through the streets of Hamburg on Saturday. They'd been rioting and burning the city since Wednesday. Now, I've got tons of news. I'm not going back to this for lack of news. Then I went to CNN's main website. It was all positive except one article about burning cars and looting at the bottom, contradicting all the other articles saying they were angels. Why would they lie like this? I think to condition us. They've been caught lying. They have a 6% trust rate, according to AP. So why not try to like go so deceptive you become like a cartoon character? I mean, everybody knows that Yosemite Sam lies, that he's treacherous, but he's still funny. And so it's like they're becoming the knight that went neat. Maybe we can cue that up later from the Knights of the Holy Grail, where he's going through the forest. This guy comes over and says, I want you to buy me a shrubbery or I'm going to kill you. And he says, okay, I'll buy a shrubbery. He goes, I want 20 shrubberies. You know, it's the classical thing once you start paying somebody off. And I want a lot of bushes and trees. And he goes, no, that's it. Cuts his leg off. He goes, oh, it's merely a flesh wound. Cuts the other leg off. Cuts the arms off. But he refuses to admit he's been beaten. So Mike Cernovich is a smart cookie, filmmaker, producer, best-selling author, researcher. More than 10 million views a week just on his videos. It's got to scare CNN. He's got the CFR doing hit pieces on him. He'll be joining us soon here. He already once a week hosts an hour, but in the next month he'll be on several hours every day. I want to get his take on that. The Democrats doubling down, saying Hillary and Obama and Pelosi will lead the midterm election push against Trump. You couldn't ask for something better. Well, I guess Linda Sarsour is even worse, calling for jihad. She's like the new pet Gloria Steinem of feminism, pushing genital mutilation. It's like it's satire. It's like Kurt Vonnegut is having a hallucination and writing all this and has CNN as the joke. We've got CNN caught hiring Al-Qaeda correspondent. You can't make that up, Infowars.com. You've got Comey, admittedly now caught perjuring himself and lying with classified memos. They now admit were classified. This is incredible. Mainstream media admits that. We've got the Pope saying the U.S.-Russia alliance is dangerous and that our countries are evil. This from a guy leading the pedophile takeover of the Catholic Church. We've got just insanity this hour into the next. We've got British man 21 makes history by giving birth to baby daughter. When I read the headline in AP, Reuters, The Sun, I said, it'll be a woman that thinks she's a man that had a baby. And sure enough, it was, because they haven't produced artificial wombs that work properly. They still got to use cows to grow humanoids and clones. So it's a woman that thinks she's a man that had sex with a man. She had a baby, but they say it's a man. It's fraud. It's not that I hate mentally ill people. I mean, you know, if somebody wants to go be a woman or be a tranny, you know, if it's a gay guy and wants to go pick up more guys, you want to go get breast implants and doll your hair up, knock yourself out. I'm all for freedom. But if you really think you're a man and you're a woman and you go and have a baby, now let's show the baby bump, and then the media runs with it that a man had a baby. No, a woman had a baby. A woman had a baby. A woman had a baby. A woman, a woman, a woman. Just like male and female whales, male and female rabbits, male and female praying mantises, male and female bass, male and female tigers. This is mass mental illness saying that you're biologically a man when you're a woman and you got a uterus. Again, it's like the South Park piece where he thinks he's a dolphin. So Mike Cernovich, chronicling the globalist. What are they doing? I know they're trying to instill mass mental illness. They admit that in the WikiLeaks and their white papers. But what is CNN doing? Going next level. Everything is like fake news, where they say no one would shake Trump's hand. And then they edit it to look like no one shook his hand, when everybody was actually chasing him, begging to be close to him, climbing over themselves. And he was just shunning them, wearing his American flag pin, while everybody else was wearing G20 pins. I mean, what is CNN doing, Cernovich?
Man, I think about that all the time, actually. You mentioned being in like a Kurt Vonnegut hallucination. I feel like we're in a video game now because what is happening is really too absurd to believe. Every day, more fake news. CNN hiring Al-Qaeda, right? Literally funding terrorism. And of course, you reported on that story like 2 or 3 years ago. I love how these people, breaking news, big scoop, and then they talk about something that you had talked about a long time ago. And then, of course, the white helmets are ISIS. That maybe people will learn the truth about the white helmets in a year or two. You know, who knows? But it's become so absurd that I honestly, and this doesn't happen often, I can't figure out their angle. It doesn't make any sense what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, everybody sees burning cities, 475 cops, some of them fighting for their lives, citizens burn up, fighting for their lives, total carnage. The city looks like it just got bombed by B-2 bombers, and they're on the news saying it was totally peaceful.
Yeah, that's the whole point. We can now, with your own eyes, you can contradict what you say. They go, oh, it was a peaceful protest, even though Hamburg was burning. You couldn't tell a difference between Hamburg and Syria. It's one and the same now. The whole Chris Khaleesi or whatever, he's the guy who said we couldn't talk about Hillary's health, by the way. One thing that they're not counting on is for people to have a long memory. So the same guy who said we can't talk about Hillary's health tweeted out a GIF where it looked like the First Lady of Poland wasn't shaking Trump's hand, when what has happened is she had went to shake the First Lady's hand, and then she turned over and shook Trump's hand. And you're thinking, how stupid are these people? I couldn't get away with stuff like my own followers, the people who like me, if I posted that.
My family, if I told lies like this on air, would disown me.
Yeah. Yeah, our listeners and viewers and readers would never allow that. So I'm like, wait a minute, this guy, he's lying. This is fraud. And this
I'll tell you what they're doing, Cernovich. They know they've been caught. They're trying to condition us to accept it. We are being conditioned. They're titrating it to just accept it. I think they're trying to normalize it. And the news is it's not working.
Right. I mean, even the president of Poland had to say, man, you're lying.
He called it fake news.
It's a lie. It isn't a bias anymore. I used to believe that the media was just biased. You know, hey, because I'm biased. I'm pro-Trump. If I hear something bad about Trump, I'm not going to believe it as likely as I would something bad about Hillary. That's called being a human being. But everybody who reads me knows that. Don't come to me for the really nasty stuff on Trump. People get it. But that is just outright fabrication. That's just a lie. That is visual evidence saying that you're a fraud. It isn't about bias.
It's like trying to be caught. That's what I'm saying. They're telling lies now that are, it's like if a Palestinian stabs 3 police officers and kills one and then gets shot, they'll say, Israelis shot a Palestinian and killed him today, and then not even mention that they stabbed somebody.
Well, you raise a good point, actually. Maybe the CNN is like the cheating spouse, and this is a cry for help. Maybe they want to get caught lying because that's the only way that they can really...
Sure, exactly. That's the criminology. You're taking it one further. Psychopaths first are very careful about their murders. Then they get more and more reckless, taunt the police, send in letters saying, you can't catch me. That's it, Cernovich. You did it. You figured it out. It is a cry for help. You did it. I didn't. It is the last stages of total mental illness. A cry for help. That's it. CNN is crying for help. Man, and so are all the liberal trendies. We'll be back to talk about a lot more with Mike Cernovich. Stay with us. Gotta love the resurgence of America and all the bravado, all the chutzpah, all the arrogance, all the mentally ill energy of the robber barons and the globalists are now imploding. I've got a huge story we're going to cover when we start the next segment that I want to thank Daria, who is actually off today, for calling up and pointing out, because I meant to get to it, but I had it buried here in my stack. In fact, maybe you guys can print me those articles again. I may have taken them to my office. It's pretty amazing. I'm going to wait till the start of the next segment to get to that. This is just incredible. But getting back to Mike Cernovich, now part of the InfoWars team, Mike, Hillary is announcing she's going to frontline run the 2018 midterm elections. That also means rob, of course, the contributions, many of them, as she always does, and that Pelosi is going to stay in, and that Obama's coming back to help as well. I mean, talk about arrogance. Even their own party wants them out, but they're in control. They're going to stay in control as their party becomes a coastal party Everything they said was going to happen to the Republicans is now happening to them. Again, this is more of the mental illness, more of the self-destructiveness. But again, it's the bravado, it's the delusional behavior we see from people that were given what they had. The Clintons were given power by previous globalists. They're now in control. So it's a perfect scenario. Talk about spoiled brats being given daddy's business and running into the ground. That's what they've done.
Yeah, I love it. Everything that I'm watching happen, I'm loving, because while the media is pushing another Trump-Russia conspiracy theory about a 20-minute meeting Donald Trump Jr. had with some, lawyer advocate or whatever, trying to make a big deal out of it, they have Pelosi in, they have Hillary Clinton, and then they have this Muslim Brotherhood guy, forget his name. I love it. When I'm watching the 2008 midterm election run-ups, the only thing that scares me is that Paul Ryan is such a coward and the GOP are so cucked that, as bad as the Democrats are, do the Republicans really want to win, or do they just want to throw it? It's like pro wrestling at this point. Paul Ryan doesn't want to win. He's just the bad guy or whatever in this script, and it's all fake. So my only concern is that the GOP doesn't want to actually win in the midterms, which is why the Patriots are going to have to unite, and we're going to have to run our own primary campaigns and get people out of the Republican Party.
Well, that was my next point. As soon as you finish, I threw it to you. I was going to say, because it's true. I mean, we're on the same page. It's just reality. The enemy is the Republican establishment. The Democrats are self-destructing. They don't even know who the president is. Pelosi, like 12 times in the last few months, has said that George W. Bush is still in office. She doesn't know what planet she's on. They want a mental test on Trump. How about a test on her, as you've said? It'll definitely show she's got serious neurological problems. Same thing with Maxine Waters. They're the ones screwing themselves in the ground like Rumpelstiltskin. The problem is blue-eyed psycho, talk about white devil, Paul Ryan and the Republican establishment. They are capable criminals. They're the ones killing the repeal of Obamacare. They're the ones killing tax cuts that are going to kill the Trump recovery. So they are enemy number one.
Yeah, they're trying to sabotage. The 2020 thing is, right now, everything's so unpredictable that it's hard to know what will happen in 2020. The 2018 midterms, though, you're going to really see a lot of people run against the primary challengers. You're going to have a lot of incumbents, the Republicans, facing the new opposition of people. I've been contacted by a lot of people, vets, business people, people at all levels, moms. There are a lot of people who want to run. And what I'm going to do as we head towards 2018 is pick 5 or 10 districts where there's a good chance we can Eric Cantor, an establishment cuck Republican, and then I'm going to actually go on the campaign trail and help these people run their primary campaigns. I mean, Roger Stone, for example, might be helping Omar Navarro, who's running against Maxine Waters. How powerful would that be? We should have Roger, talk about what that would look like. So there are these upstart contenders out there, and then people like Roger, experienced political operatives, people like me, experienced in media. We're going to be getting involved in laying out the blueprint to win.
This is an incredible time to be alive. And again, if we can just get the Republican establishment out of the way, we're going to win. If Trump can get his tax cuts and repeal Obamacare, as he said, just repeal it, which shows he's for real, that will kickstart the global economy, and this recovery will stick. If it doesn't, though, I think by winter, we could see things downturn, and things could get really, really nasty. The good news is voters have said in studies they're going to blame the Republican establishment, not Trump, if this recovery fails. We'll talk more with Mike Cernovich and give you the big news on the other side. Wait till you hear this. The elite are really hitting the panic button. We'll be right back. And here's President Trump piloting an F-14 taking out the enemy globalist.
Yeah. I run, I win. You're fired. Get out of here. It's been my bridge.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Highway to the danger zone. Mike Cernovich is our guest. We're going to be taking your phone calls at 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Cernovich financed the red pill that is one of the top videos on Amazon and on Netflix, you name it. I know because they show the top grossing ones and the top ones getting watched, at the front of the page, most popular. And I saw red pill last night when I was watching a documentary with my wife. I noticed that red pill was up there. So That is a film that Cernovich has produced. We've ordered a bunch of them. They're coming in. I'm going to sell them on DVD. But that's just an example of what Cernovich is doing. I myself have also financed films like Loose Change and others. I've meant to get back into it. But he's doing a Kickstarter program for a film called Hoaxed, exposing mainstream media lies. Will one of these films save the world? No, but all of them together will win the cultural revolution against the globalists. And it shows how Amy Schumer, they had to remove the STAR program rating system from liberal comedy people because they're so unpopular. They leave it for other folks. So it just shows how we're winning in the marketplace of ideas. A feminist sets out to make a feminist film, finds out it's all bull, makes a film about how men are being oppressed and disenfranchised by design, and it becomes one of the #1 films of the year. And Cernovich is now going to do another Kickstart to fund another film. And some will say, well, if a film's doing so well, you don't need money. Not with Hollywood, not with these big distributors, folks. I've had films that sell 1 million DVDs and are on in theaters, and then I didn't get any money. That's how Hollywood operates. You just don't get paid. But it doesn't matter. You still affect massive change and have a giant effect. Not quite 1 million. It was a lot of DVDs and a lot of paid downloads. And by the time they're done, you don't hardly get anything. But a new Kickstarter for Hoaxed, we'll tell you about that and get into some other news in a moment. Speaking of funding operations, we sell water filtration, high-quality storable foods, non-GMO heirloom seeds, books, videos, films. The new film, The Good American, about the NSA and William Benny, so amazing. That's on DVD at InfoWarsStore.com. So it's not just on the cloud, but you digitally have the high-quality DVD. That's available at InfoWarsStore.com. And you've got amazing nutraceuticals like DNA Force, sold out for close to 6 months, now back in stock with the true organically produced Bio PQQ, CoQ10, and everything else. This is top of the line, 4.8 stars out of hundreds and hundreds of third-party reviews, deep research, patented ingredients, 170-plus studies. It is amazing. Let me tell you briefly about DNA Force, because it is so exciting, and I just hope that people will research it for themselves. A limited supply of DNA Force is finally back in stock at InfoWarsLife.com. 20% off retail price. Our highly advanced DNA Force formula has been sold out for months due to the worldwide shortage of raw ingredients that has drastically affected our ability to manufacture this formula. Today, I'm excited to announce that a new limited shipment of DNA Force has finally arrived at the InfoWars warehouse. As we do have thousands of listeners on the waiting list to receive out-of-stock products like DNA Force, and they also get a discount when they sign up for AutoShip of 10%, we are once again expected to sell out very soon, especially with 20% discount. And when it comes to a formula that is a game-changing as DNA Force, we will not know when we'll be able to secure an additional supply. The secret behind DNA Force is its powerful lineup of patented ingredients like CoQ10, enzymes, systemic enzymes, na-lipoic acid, Bio-PQQ, and many others. Visit InfoWarsLife.com and read the reviews for yourself. Over 800 reviews have given DNA Force a unheard of 4 out of 8 stars, 5 stars through our third-party certified review agency, Power Reviews. Take advantage of this new limited shipment. Get DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com before it sells out again. That's InfoWarsLife.com. And we have free shipping through the month of July. I've extended it on top of that, and 30 to 40% off on many of the other nutraceuticals like Brain Force, like X2, Survival Shield, Z Shield, and so much more. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. But whatever you do, support our local affiliates and local sponsors, or become a sponsor. Now, I'm like a rabid dog today. I'm so hyped up. Mike, I want to get into your Kickstarter program and this new film that because you know how to pick the winners. I've seen that with a lot of films you've helped finance. But before we do that, just in putting a book in what we were earlier talking about, then I'm going to get into this huge media news that we haven't hit yet, and then calls. Where do you see this crying out for help with CNN telling bigger and more obscene lies? As liars, all they know how to do is intensify what they're doing. I think your theory in criminology is proven accurate in observation in the field. CNN is mentally ill, crying out for help, the equivalent of someone going into dementia, rubbing feces on their face.
Yeah, the cry for help, CNN cry for help is for sure, because, again, what we were talking about earlier, It isn't merely that people who work at CNN have a bias. It's a natural human impulse to be biased. They are now fabricating stories that can be refuted within a second by objective, verifiable evidence. That tells me that they clearly must be mentally ill, or they feel so conflicted that they're thinking, maybe if I just lie big enough, my bosses will let me tell the truth. Maybe Jeff Zucker and the other people who own me will let me tell the truth. If I just get caught again, I'll be punished, and they want to be punished and disciplined and put in their place.
And it's a mix of that. Zucker, admittedly, we've got 3 Veritas videos at the highest levels, tells them lie, tells them try to start World War III. He thinks they're making money off of it, which isn't even really true. He's been ordered to do it. It's a rearguard action for him. He's telling the old-time Warner executives, yeah, we're kicking Trump's butt. He's just following orders, and they're just soldiers following orders to lie, and so the lies aren't working, so just intensify. I mean, I think that's it, is you've got the globalists that are somewhat disconnected, but even if Harvard Law Journal and Harvard Magazine, as you showed the other day, and the Financial Times of London, and all these admit globalism's falling apart, everybody hates it, the tide is going out, so they seem to start getting it at the top. I mean, do you think we're entering a phase where they may understand now that nothing they can do will put their New World Order together again?
Well, at the top, here's what I think is happening is people like Jeff Zucker are just legitimately evil people. He's the kind of person who, when the lights go out and the doors are shut in the soundproof room, you know, you can only imagine what is happening in those soundproof rooms that they install in their houses and whatnot. But the people like Chris Calizzo, who spread GIFs that are fake, I think he feels so disgusted by what he has to do for Jeff Zucker, but he's got to make a living. So in his mind, he thinks, well, I mean, I have to have a job. I have to make a living. Well, I'm just going to lie so much in such obvious ways that I'm going to have to be fired, and I'll be free from this hell that CNN is. That's my theory about the individual people. They want to be free from the hell of Jeff Zucker, and that is why they're just lying. That's why CNN fabricated a story. 3 guys fabricated a story about Anthony Scaramucci. Total lie. They wanted to get fired because they're tired of having to lie.
And they say that in the videos. They say Trump isn't with the Russians. It's all made up. It's Hillary that's with her, but we're ordered to do it. We feel sorry for Trump. I mean, it's true. We're on a witch hunt against him. It's all made up. They know about the WikiLeaks. They know what evil old globalists they work for.
Yeah, exactly. So they're conflicted. That's why they're spreading the fake news.
And by the way, you've told me this, and I've talked to them as well. A lot of these big reporters hate their jobs. They know it's all lies.
Well, most of them do. That's why they watch InfoWars and stuff, mainly because they want to learn how to build their own brand and go off on their own and not have to work for people like Jeff Zucker. I mean, just look at, if you take, I mean, let's talk about CNN, for example. They had a pedophile on their show, Jacob Schwartz, a Bill de Blasio employee, went on to CNN with Chris Cuomo to talk about how Russians and racism stole the election. There's a picture of him with Brooke, something or other. So CNN is a platform of pedophiles. They have never disavowed this Jacob Schwartz, who they had on their show to talk about Russia. So if they're welcoming pedophiles onto their show, what can we expect?
And let's expand. CNN silent on claims it hired al-Qaeda correspondent. Infowars.com, Paul Joseph Watson. Get this article out, folks. Left-wing website exposed news network for paying correspondents to pal around with terrorists. CNN is refusing to respond to the claim it hired a correspondent who worked and sympathized with al-Qaeda, jihadists in Syria. Left-wing website Alternate documents how star CNN correspondent Clarissa Ward worked with al-Qaeda media man Bail Abdul Karim to gain access to her heroes on the ground. Well, I mean, I had CNN reporters on a decade ago and 5 years ago who were being paid in the productions, hundreds of thousands per piece by Qatar, Bahrain, and others to go do PR pieces on how genocide was good. CNN's been doing pay-to-play forever.
Yeah, well, but let's just think of the evil, because a lot of people think we're playing up the evil. We've now found that if you're a pedophile and you want to complain about Russia, Chris Cuomo will have you on his show. And Chris Cuomo, by the way, tweeted out that it's bigoted for a man to not want his underage daughter
to be in a shower alone with a man in his weenie.
What do you, for real? Like a lot of times, when I talk, this is why I tell people
he is a sexualization of children cheerleader. He needs to be investigated.
That's what I say is, when I talk to people, I don't need to smoke marijuana. The reality is so weird that you're like, wait a minute, a CNN anchor said that an underage girl her dad is a bigot if he doesn't want his underage girl to have a penis in her face in a locker room, and they have a pedophile on their show, and they're giving Al-Qaeda filmmakers money. Like, this is all happening.
And they funded the Arab Spring and cheerleaded when churches were being blown up. Anderson Cooper, when they were blowing the churches up and murdering everybody in Egypt 5 years ago, and they were cheerleading the murder of the government in Libya and the fall of it, and Al-Qaeda taking over, and cheerleading the invasion of Syria. I mean, these people really are truly evil.
That's the thing. It's true sociopathy, cheerleading all of the evil that has happened. They're now inciting violence against Trump supporters domestically. Fake news is causing domestic terrorism. I offered Brian Stelter $100,000 for charity. Maybe you want to match it. I said, if he'll wear a MAGA hat and walk through New York with a GoPro for 2 hours and live stream what happens, I'll donate $100,000 to charity, because he claims being a journalist is so dangerous. Well, I'll go wear a CNN hat and I'll walk all around New York. Think nothing of it. I'll go wear a CNN hat. So will Brian Stelter, for $100,000 for charity, put on a Make America Great Again hat and walk around with the GoPro and live stream?
Because the truth is, their supporters are crazed losers whose identity's invested in the fake media and who get violent when they see a Trump supporter. I've experienced it for myself on a weekly basis, where they come over and scream at you and call you Hitler, and they're literally mentally ill. They are the biggest idiots. I want to go to these phone calls, but I want to get into your Kickstart thing as well. We're going to go to Vicious, Ryan, Jeff, Montoya, Joe, and others here in a moment, 800-25-99231. And then I'm going to get into, wait for this, folks, New York Sun, New York Times, Bezos, Slim, and Buffett. Sounds like gangsters, doesn't it? Publicly pleading poverty, ask Congress for help with their newspapers, the New York Sun reports. News outlets to seek bargaining rights against Google and Facebook. They want to be able to shut down basically alternative news and be able to force their stories into the top everywhere and, I guess, control it. And they're asking for help. Google and Facebook continue to gobble up the digital advertising market, siphoning away revenue that once paid the quality journalism that Google and Facebook now offer for free. They're gaining increasing control over digital distribution, so newspapers that once delivered their journalism with their own trucks increasingly have to rely on these big online platforms to get their articles up in front of people, fighting for attention alongside fake news. I love another mainstream paper calling competition, like us showing CNN telling you there were no riots. We show you the riots in Hamburg. They're calling us fake news websites that lift their content and cat videos. And they want cat videos delisted and all competition delisted to force feed their garbage. And it says that they're going to Google and Facebook to help them support and force feed their advertising and their papers and make everyone click on their ads. So they're threatening antitrust against Google if they don't go along with them. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Mike Cernovich.
Well, they can't win in the free market. That's what they're learning. I mean, if you think about it, if you're a child rapist like Roman Polanski and you rape a 13-year-old girl after drugging her, Meryl Streep will say you're a good man and clap for you and say it's terrible that you're being deprived, and they'll fund your movies.
But the internet
won't. Dollars. Yeah, they want to fund the pedophiles' movies. But then they claim, oh, there's a free market in Hollywood. No, because there's an elite group of financiers who are part of that cabal of pedophiles who support people like Roman Polanski. I mean, if you ever want to watch a Hollywood director run away from you, I have them try to troll me on Twitter because they're jealous of my success and my celebrity, even though I don't even care about that kind of stuff. I just want to make America great. I go, hey, why don't you do a documentary on the underage casting couch in Hollywood? Block. They run. That is like light to a
let me explain this. This is why I said Red Pill, being one of the top films, is such a salmon story swimming upstream and makes them so upset. They're trying to force-feed feminism, force-feed Amy Schumer, force-feed it. It's being rejected with 1 star everywhere. They're in full panic mode. It makes Gamergate look like nothing. And then meanwhile, though, you go to the front page of Google, you go to the front page of Facebook, you go to the front page of YouTube, you go to the front page of Twitter. They're already force-feeding Hollywood and force-feeding mainstream news. They've already delisted InfoWars off Google News. The contract you got, they admitted was real. Millions of dollars to delist InfoWars by Google hiring contractors. So despite all the force-feeding, Cernovich, they're still panicking, asking for us to totally be blocked from the marketplace of ideas. Don't they understand the Streisand effect?
Yeah, and we're also, the blockchain is moving towards an uncensorable internet. So within a couple of years, they won't even be able to ban us from the internet. There'll be social media companies on the blockchain. That's why the media doesn't want people to know about Bitcoin. You know, they call Bitcoin a scam and everything. Like, there's so many things that are working against the hegemony of the Hollywood University media pedophile complex. They can't take it. A great poll came out today showing that people now, especially Republicans, view higher education as a complete and total scam, nothing but an indoctrination factory. So people are waking up, and this is, again, the backlash. That is why Bill Gates finally said, oh, this migration stuff, wait. Because Bill Gates, he might be an evil person, but he's also calculating, and he realized we went too far too fast, and we should have calmed down a little bit. We shouldn't have completely tried to enslave people. We shouldn't have. The rapes and everything are what changed it all.
And they failed. Austria's put troops on the border. Hungary and Romania got demonized first, then Poland. But now Western Europe's putting troops on the border because it is literally insane asylum. Muslims running around, blocking roads, raping, killing, slaughtering. They're having to cancel outdoor events. They're banning Oktoberfest because the Muslims see you drinking in public and flip out over German women running around big giant beer mugs. Sounds like heaven. We'll be right back with your phone calls and the Kickstarter program of Mike Cernovich. Stay with us. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Spread that link. It's an act of rebellion. We're going to your phone calls with Mike Cernovich here in just a moment. He'll be with us a little bit in the next hour to take your calls. But before I do that, one of the crew members just made a really good point. In fact, when I saw this morning, I thought the exact same thing, but then didn't ever come in and make that point. That's why it's good to take your calls. It's good for the crew to make points because we've all got to brainstorm every angle of this. Why is Bezos, probably the richest man in the world, owner of Amazon, Carlos Slim, the Mexican kingpin, and Warren Buffett, 3 of the top 5 richest men in the world, calling for Google to front place their articles and force feed their stories that nobody is looking at or reading, and arguing that Google's getting all the advertisement and so they're falling apart. That is a threat. Their subsidiaries in Europe through the EU have Merkel and have Macron openly with these $50 million and $100 million fines, biggest fines in history, basically intimidating Google, Facebook, and others into sharing the market with other globalists and censoring the free press. So Google and Facebook are already being censored for not doing enough censoring in Europe. It's already draconian. It's already horrible. But they want it more intense. Then once they've done it in Europe, they're well trained at doing it here. And so basically other major billionaires like Bezos, who owns the Washington Post and got $600 million from the CIA to engage in propaganda from Obama before he left office, they're weighing in now with their intimidation in a hostile takeover of Google and Facebook. So there's no honor amongst thieves, but that's where all of this is going. Mike Cernovich.
Yeah, man, there's so much going on. I mean, Chelsea Clinton, who stole money from Haitian orphans for her wedding dress. You know, the media pretends like that never happened. And she's on Twitter crying about Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump. The DNC, man, they've learned nothing. It is mind-blowing to me that they've learned nothing from their loss. But it's fun watching them fail spectacularly. It's fun watching, for example, Carlos Slim. If we want to talk about foreign influence and the media, why don't we talk about how one of the big owners of the New York Times, he owns 18% of the company, Carlos Slim. He could send the 401ks and the pensions of every New York Times reporter into the garbage by selling his stock. But they claim, oh, he has no influence on it. They don't want to talk about it. I watched a documentary this weekend, Propaganda, which tried to make Peter Thiel look bad, called Nobody Speak. But all it did was made Peter Thiel look like a great guy, right? But in the movie, they go, oh, isn't it a terrible thing? Sheldon Adelson bought the Las Vegas Review. And I go, well, wait a minute. If money by billionaires and media is such a problem, why is nobody talking about Carlos Slim, a Mexican who owns the New York Times? They want to pretend it doesn't happen. They don't put disclosures in every article and say, well, our biggest shareholder, Carlos Slim, our owner, is going to make a ton of money if we have open borders because of the phone calls that go back and forth, right? Because he's a telecom monopolist. There's never any kind of disclosure like this.
That's right. You never learned that Carlos Slim made $10 billion plus last time I checked of his money off U.S. taxpayers administering the stupid Obama phone. Pure profit, unbelievable. It's incredible. We're going to go to break, come back and go to Vicious, Ryan, Jeff, Montoya, Joe, and others. And then at the next segment, Mike Cernovich can tell you about his Kickstarter campaign. Very excited for a new film, Hoaxed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so good to see that people like Mike are taking action, because I've been so busy. I've made a documentary in 6 years. I'm glad to see him out there slaying it. Hour number 3 coming up. Please spread the word. You are the power of the info war. Please spread the word. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to Vicious and Ryan and Jeff and Montoya and Joe and others. One of them was talking about Amelia Earhart. Yeah, I saw the photo last week of her with a bunch of Japanese, looks like her, before World War II, getting grabbed and taken off by the Japanese. That really happened. Who knows? But it's okay to ask questions. Us having our own opinions is not a conspiracy theory. It's simply speculating and having discernment or discrimination. Like you discriminate who makes a better hot dog, who makes a better hamburger, or who makes better clothes. That's from the History Channel, though, folks. And, you know, you never know with the History Channel, because they were the ones that said George Washington on the 4th of July fought at the Battle of Gettysburg. Let's go to your phone calls right now. Let's go to Vicious in Wisconsin. You're on the air with Mike Cernovich. Go ahead.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Alex. I got 2 vicious riddles for you. They're rhetorical riddles, though. The second one's a little bit more vicious. You ready?
Sure.
Okay, first one. What does Caesar and Hillary Clinton have in common?
Both of them have epileptic seizures.
Correct. You got that one right. And what Hillary Clinton saw in her mind's eye on September 11th should definitely be public knowledge. Second one is here, what does Lois Lerner, Obamacare, Obama, Fannie and Freddie Mac have in common?
That's a good question. Cernovich, can you get that one?
No, that's a tricky one.
You ready?
Yes.
Ready.
They all prosecute Tea Partiers, I mean conservatives.
That's right. Great points. You know, Cernovich talked about this jokingly halfway at dinner with myself and Paul Watson, but it's almost true. We knew from the Secret Service she was falling down roughly every 45 minutes. They said, watch her black ambulance. A week before, Millie Weaver and Gavin caught her for an hour with medical folks running in armored suits with stretchers. I mean, she was really bad then. And then a week later on September 11th, she collapsed. It's like we willed her to manifest the truth in front of the cameras. And then the media would edit it once she fell and said that we made it up. But again, that showed their arrogance that they believe they're in control. Mike Cernovich, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, so that was actually a funny dinner. That was where, you know, Alex and I had an intervention on, you know, Paul the Great, and we go, you are a sex icon. You are the Beatles. You are Bieber. You are the...
He's better than Bieber, right, but we weren't, yeah.
Yeah, we were having, you know, the idea, though, is that he's a big icon. He's a pop culture icon, and he needs to own it. But, yeah, I said that we had, in a way, like, willed it into existence, and then Alex goes, wait, that's not the Aleister Crowley stuff. And I go, no, I'm not saying that, Alex. But unconsciously, by talking about it all the time collectively, that rattles her people. And then her people attend to her more. And then her people freak out more. And then you force
and then it makes her think about how she's having the seizures and makes her nervous and makes them give her more drugs, so she does it more. And then it makes more people videotape her and stake her out to catch it. That's all the Secret Service said, is they said, just follow her around. We don't know what it is, but the word is she's got a brain tumor.
Right. It's like if I tell you, quit worrying about it. Quit worrying, quit worrying, quit worrying, quit worrying, quit worrying, quit. You're going to worry about it more. You're going to be like, oh, well, I didn't think about that. Oh, so that's all we did is, Hillary's sick. Hillary has a stool. We made her remove that resting stool she had, right? Everything we did. So her people now are like, oh my God, don't have a seizure. Don't have a seizure. Don't have a seizure. Oh!
And then notice, too, the Democrats everywhere would try to cover up everything that was going up with her. Even at events, they'd cover everybody else's cameras. The citizen, they were like all in on the conspiracy. And then she fell down at 9/11 at the memorial. Fell on her fat war criminal ass.
Well, and there are her, and she has the anti-seizure glasses because the CFR is trying to go. The whole thing with Hillary's health is that I moved past it, but the globalists and the CFR are going, you spread rumors about her having Parkinson's. In that picture on the screen, she's wearing the Zeiss.
The classic prescription ones. It's crazy. And again, please, mainstream media, don't say I'm bad and evil to the public that hates you. Please don't knight me, supreme leader, against you. Please don't empower us. Oh no, please no.
Alex Jones. He was a nice guy, actually. You like him? Oh, that's good. Alex Jones, nice guy.
I know now from top people that you actually are for real, and you understand you're in danger, and you understand what you're doing is epic.
Your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope. And I think we'll be speaking a lot, but you'll be looking at me in a year or 2 years. Let's give me a little bit of a time to run things. But a year into office, you'll be saying, wow, I remember that interview. He said he was going to do it, and he did a great job. You'll be very proud of our country.
So while we're there, you probably read it. It was in Drudge, who's great, by the way. Drudge is amazing. But the story in Drudge, and big story, it's all over the place now. Guys swimming across, and big bags of stuff, drugs, swimming across the river, right? Swimming right across.
We just caught these guys coming across the border. They're jumping in. They just jumped in rafts. They're coming up 1, 2, 3, 4. They have big satchels.
And actually the camera crew, or the reporters, were petrified because they thought they were going to be killed. Because they're showing this on camera. The guy's carrying bags of stuff. It was drugs.
Thank you. Donald Trump, I hope you can help uncripple America. Thank you so much, sir. You will be attacked for coming on, and we know you know that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Rallying patriots worldwide in defense of human liberty. It's Alex Jones.
Mike Cernovich tried to shotgun with us. We're about to go to Ryan, Jeff, Montoya, Joe, Mike, and others. But I covered this last hour, but I want to bring this back up with Cernovich, and we should probably search engine this. I forgot to tell you during the break. Search engine WikiLeaks. Soros wants UN-controlled web to censor opposition, push his open society news. That's basically the headline from last year. But you read this, you see this, that's what they're calling for. They've got the EU going after Google and Facebook with huge fines, saying they didn't get rid of enough racism, and then using antitrust against them, when clearly they are somewhat of oligopolies, because all the old money, Bezos, Slim, Buffett, and others, they're jealous of Google and Facebook. There's an internal power struggle, and now they've gone to Congress asking for Google to basically be broken up, or they're asking for Google to force feed their news and their advertising and share money with them. People have a right to go to Bing. They have a right to go to Dogpile. They have a right to go to hundreds of other search engines. They go to Google because it's the biggest, and it's got its problems, and it does a lot of bad things. I've got to say, though, Google isn't as evil as Facebook or as Apple or as Bezos and Amazon. I mean, Amazon is funding anti-gun, open borders, anti-free speech garbage. Bezos is the worst. He won't even use his $87 billion. He got $600 million in January of this year from the CIA to run attacks on the president. And Trump hadn't gone after him because he knows the optics. It would sound like he's going after the press. The Washington Post is not the press. So here's the deal. Cernovich broke this months ago. They're already trying to shut us down. They're already trying to delist InfoWars. When you spread InfoWars links, when you spread our videos, when you spread our articles, when you aggressively do it on Facebook, Twitter, in person, on your email, telling your coworkers, your boss, your wife, your husband, your neighbors, your church. This is a fight for the future. And InfoWars is under the most attack. They're trying to intimidate people so they won't support us, so they won't link to us, so they won't promote us, when it's a badge of honor to be attacked by MSM. It's a badge of honor. InfoWars is so credible. That's why they run all these stories lying about us and what we stand for. Going back to Mike Cernovich. Mike, I want you to stay with us if you can. If you got to leave, I understand. But I want to go to phone calls. But tell us about films. Films are an amazing way to get the truth out. I've reached hundreds and hundreds of millions of people with my films. You've been helping with Kickstarter programs take films from obscurity like Red Pill and help push them to the top. How do folks get involved supporting the new film project, Hoaxed?
Well, we have some breaking news right now. The globalist deep state hit piece on me is being officially launched. 3 people wrote this article for Foreign Policy. They're now calling me an internet harasser. But within the article, they admit, here, I'll quote.
Now, let's explain. Let's explain that Foreign Policy is the Washington Post version of Foreign Affairs. It's where they put out the calls for coups against the president. It's where they call for deep state control. It's where they actually give orders to their own operatives, just like in the old days, Russian spies would put code words in newspapers. This is admitted. They're the folks that wrote the article 3 years ago when CIA was legalized to engage in deception domestically. They put that out so that foreign service folks could know they're now going to target America with their disinformation. So this is actual rogue CIA targeting myself, you, and others. Tell folks about the article. Let's put it out.
Yeah, so this article I just sent to the great team is they attack me and they call me fake news. But they said, and I quote, "My reports include details that only someone on the inside could know. For example, my tweets about Sarah Miller were so specific that they documented meetings and lunches the NSC staffer had with certain people. That is how good my sources are."
And they're pissed because you're talking to people at the White House and they know I am too.
That's how good they are. They're like, I know where they're having lunch. I know where people are eating lunch. I'm watching you, deep state.
That's right. You people think you're going to open our borders and bring in Islamicists and teach 5-year-olds how to be, raped by pedophiles, and then we're going to go into your world government without a fight? You want to fight? You better believe you got one. Let me see your war face, Cernovich. Let me see your war face. Ah! Yeah! Let them know. Come on with me. Ah! Yeah!
That is how I know where they're having lunch. I know their mistresses. I know they're drug dealers. I know they're prostitutes.
And we're just waiting. And you've got all your kill switches ready, all your dead man switches. So do I. We have everything. Ah, yes.
They think, that's the thing. They think they're spying on us. My tweet, so specific. I know about the lunch meeting.
And all the stuff they've done to me and you, we just love it. It just makes it more delicious, doesn't it?
Well, it feels great because they don't go after nobodies. They sent 3 people. Deep State sent 3 people.
Let's put the article on screen. This is from the CIA, liberal, deep state, rogue government is what Foreign Affairs admittedly is. They're the ones calling for coup d'etats. Everything else, they're the ones calling for the CIA to lie to the American people. You can pull it up 3 years ago when they celebrated that propaganda now legalized inside the U.S. Trump's trolls are waging war on American civil servants. Alt-right bloggers are slinging out government employees, singling out deemed hostile to the president's agenda. That's right. We're pointing out all your moles that are actual Soros operatives on paper, admittedly confirmed, or working for the Islamicists. You better bet your butt we're coming after you. Go ahead, Cernovich.
Yeah, that's the whole point. The deep state now is, first they go, oh, you and Alex Jones, you're fake news. Everything you say is wrong. Now they're saying, wait a minute, Cernovich knows where they're eating lunch. Maybe I have them bugged. Maybe I have things, who knows what I know? Because all that people know is everything that I say comes true a long time. And I said this before, and I play dirty too. I know about the drug dealers and the sugar babies and everything. And if these people come after me, I have this with my lawyer in a trust account. And if anything ever happens to me, I've told them, I said, if you think I play dirty now, if anything happens to me or my family, I will release the mother lode of all of you doing drugs, cheating on your wives, the heroin, everything. So how
the ecstasy, all of it. And let's expand on that. We didn't draw first blood. We don't want to run these people over. They're not giving us quarter. So now we've got up off the bench. We're beating the living snot out of them politically. And so they're hoping for violence now and a civil war? Man, if they really make us get up off the bench, they're going to really get their asses handed to them.
Well, yeah, because I didn't even do politics 2 years ago. I hated it. I just wanted to do guerrilla mindset all day, right? I didn't want to do political stuff, but that is how bad they've made it, that they brought people like me into the fold.
Well, I mean, talk about it. They tried to run you out, and that's what they did to me. And you know, they try to destroy us, it makes us stronger.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they have to learn, is that they're attacking me. My whole business is based on mindset and success and remaining positive when people attack you and overcoming adversity. And they think the little hit articles or their threats or everything are gonna intimidate, you know, me. That's what they think they're gonna do. But what they're realizing now, I know so much more than I've ever. You and I have talked privately about what we really know, you know, is like a safety valve and everything. So you have that info too if anything happens to me. And a lot of people don't realize that. You'll just release it all if anything happens. So they better hope for debate. If they want to debate me, we'll debate them. But if they ever play dirty and cross that line like that happened with Michael Hastings, I'm not going to go out like that for sure.
Yeah, we're not going to go out running, you know, with the documents and the car blows up. Look, we've already dropped so many payloads on them. They know it'll turn us into martyrs. That's why they want to kill us politically. And part of this demonization, you know, is them seeing if they can get the public to turn on us, then they'll kill us. But that's, I mean, big deal. We're in a war. I mean, they're cowards. They're afraid. They don't understand we really aren't afraid, Mike. They don't get it.
Well, they don't understand what it's like that we view ourselves as soldiers and, you know, warriors. We're the modern day flanks keeping America from being completely crushed and collapsed like Europe. And we have daughters.
And we're tasting victory.
Right. We have children. How can we not fight? What will happen to our daughters in the sex slavery that we allow the Clintons and the Haitians and the Saudi Arabians and everybody to do? What's going to happen?
That's right. This is the West that Atlantic Monthly and Foreign Affairs and Public Affairs brag is going to fall. They're the anti-white, anti-Christian. They say it, and they're white people that want to conquer it just as a pissing contest because they didn't build America. And they're trying to turn them, you know, the minorities into scum like them. It's not really working. So it's an incredible time. I promise. We're going to Montoya, Joe, Jeff, Ryan, then Mike. All of you. Bam, bam, bam. I'm with Mike Cernovich straight ahead, but that big breaking news came in. Wow. Now, there they are admitting it. Now they're not calling us fake news. Now they're panicking. Now they're in fear. And look at what happened to Megyn Kelly.
I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news. Your organization's terrible. False and fake.
I don't think it's just a big nothing, bro.
This isn't the wide world of sports. Use the Schwartz, Lone Star. Use the Schwartz. I can't. I lost the ring. Forget the ring. The ring is bumpkin. I found it in a Cracker Jack box. The Schwartz is in you, Lone Star. It's in you. All right, I'll try. Say goodbye to your two best friends. And I don't mean your pals in the Winnebago.
Thank you for pressing the self-destruct button. This ship will self-destruct in 3 minutes.
All you for this?
Yoo-hoo, Mr. Pirate! Oh, Redbeard!
Whoever does the best meme by next week, by next Wednesday, that has Infowars.com included, will get $20,000. Plus, we'll post a lot of the better memes on Infowars.com and on our Twitter and Facebook. To your phone calls. I just want to make a point here. I don't claim to be the toughest, meanest guy around, but the best thing ever happened to me growing up in Dallas was it was kind of like the end of the 50s type stuff. It was in the 70s and 80s, but it was like the end of that kind of culture, was that my parents were really nice folks, but they let people beat me up. And I guess they thought it was more like old-fashioned. They know it was like gang members 4 or 5 years older than me. And it just was the best activation of my genetics and my genes to be aggressive and enjoy fighting. That means politically, whatever, not make me a victim, to really get hurt bad. I mean, quite a lot. I mean, I've had concussions repeatedly where I was in the hospital, broken bones, you name it. And it just changed me completely. The stressors of it. And the modern people are so wimpy. They don't even ride bikes outside. They don't wrestle. They don't do sports. And so many millennials and Generation Zs have never experienced any of that, so they just buy into all the propaganda. But even as they become violent against Trump and us, they're kind of finding their humanity again at kind of the base level of resistance. And so as they try to kill us, they may even find themselves and leave the domestication. But the reason Cernovich and I get so excited about this is we're not hyping here. We're defeating the globalists together. That means you. The world is waking up. Trump's got like 65% approval ratings in the real polls. They admit they're oversampling 15 points in Gallup, and he's at 50. We're having devastating victory, and it's super exciting. It's super dangerous. But when they come after you and your family, when they try to destroy you, when you're put through the ringer and then you have victory, yeah, the dopamine flows. It's what it's all about. And believing in victory and not being a globalist that wants to make other people weak so you feel big, it's the opposite of that. And so it's the animating contest of liberty is what Jefferson talked about. He said it made him high. He couldn't stop it. It's why he went and was part of the French Revolution after ours, but then he found out that was a bad version and came back. So, again, don't thank us. It's an honor. It's like Cernovich says, Mike, this isn't work, is it? Then we're going to Montoya and Jeff and Ryan and Joe. I'm going to everybody. Go ahead.
No, I mean, this is the greatest job in the world, even with all the death threats and harassment and bomb threats and all the attacks we get. That's how I know people at CNN like Brian Stelter know that they're vacant and hollow. Because I'm getting attacked, and I'm like, I love it. This proves that I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, I want in the ring.
Attack me more.
You want in the game.
Yeah. Welcome to the jungle, bitches. Welcome to the jungle. Family friendly. I watch the language. But yeah, welcome to the jungle. This is the way it works. People are fighting you. People at your throats. It's a fight for Western civilization. You got to deal with it. So that's how I know they don't.
We're so blessed compared to our forebears that had to drag cannons 50 miles through the snow with no shoes with a trail of blood behind them from Ticonderoga. We have it easy compared to folks that had to fight before. We just got to be able to stand up to zombies. Let's go to...
I mean, we even have it easy compared to, like, if you ever read the book Sapiens, The Story of Humanity, we have it easy. These people cry about internet abuse, trolling, people being mean to them. They ought to get a little bit. Humanity has been on a long grind for survival with a lot of struggle. And
you don't even activate till you're in a struggle.
Exactly. We're designed to handle acute stress. We're designed to respond to attacks and get stronger. The problem is that they don't have a conscience or a heart. They're hollow inside. They're like C.S. Lewis wrote a great book, Men Without Chest. And it was the idea that the modern man, it shows how far masculinity and how quick it was declining. They don't have any robustness to them. They won't stand up on any principle. They don't believe anything. Brian Stelter and those types of people at CNN, they don't have chest. They don't have integrity. They don't have valor. They're not excited by this. They have nothing. So
they don't have will.
With the meme. With the meme, they cave in over a meme. You get memed all the time. We laugh about them.
We love it.
That Alexa video. I remember you
because I do have an idiot side of me. I am funny. I am stupid. I revel in that.
Exactly. You were watching the video laughing. We were at your dinner table at your house, and you're playing it like, have you seen this yet, Cernovich? No. So when people meme you laugh about it. You think it's hilarious. You post the links out because you actually know that what you're doing it matters, and that if people are making memes about you, that means you're having an impact.
That's right. We got to go to a caller. I'm being so bad. Montoya, then Jeff, then Ryan, then Joe. In fact, everybody gets a free T-shirt. Want to give us your address? T-shirt of your choice for making you hold that long. Infowarsstore.com. Montoya in Boston. Thanks for holding up to hold you over, but go ahead. You're with Mike Cernovich.
It's quite all right. It's a pleasure to be on. I just wanted to briefly mention a point that you were alluding to earlier, and that is getting rid of some of these Republicans that are in Congress and in the Senate. Basically, I wanted to just bring to recollection what it is that we did almost 2 years ago when we, the people, essentially put such pressure on John Boehner to get him to resign. And I remember back, it was widely recognized, or I should say, Paul Ryan was widely perceived as being a continuation of the same policies. Nothing's changed, and so...
Montoya, I'm coming right back to you. You've been holding so long. Hold 3 more minutes and get his name and address, Scott, and send it to us. I want to send him a free T-shirt of his choice and size for holding. Montoya, stay there. We'll have you finish your excellent points straight ahead. Stay with us. Please don't forget to support the broadcast. We have Super Blue, high-quality fluoride-free toothpaste made by the biggest manufacturer of fluoride-free toothpaste in the country. They're the folks that supply Tom's of Maine and several other name brands. It's the same toothpaste, but... my dad had a few of the fillers taken out and concentrates added, and then colloidal silver, nano silver, iodine, and, of course, tea tree oil and peppermint. It's very strong, though. We've been sold out of the bubble gum, quote, flavor. It's naturally flavored, organically flavored. The bubble gum's been sold out for a while. Kids love it, but it doesn't have the tea tree or the peppermint in it. This is really strong, concentrated toothpaste. It's available. It's back in stock. InfoWarsLife.com, and we have free shipping. And if you sign up for auto ship on stuff that you're going to need to reorder every 15, every 30, every 60, every 90, out to a year. You can sign up for auto ship out to a year, and then it's never sold out. Items that are sold out, you sign up for auto ship, we hold back. If you sign up for 6 months, we hold up, hold back a whole bunch. If you sign up for just a month, we hold back a little bit. So it's there for you with your name on it. That way you can support the broadcast, not forget about it. Go order toothpaste once, sign up to have it delivered every month, every 3 months, every 9 months, every year, and know you're supporting the broadcast. Get high-quality organic coffee, get high-quality organic shampoos, sunscreen, you name it. It's all there, InfoWarsStore.com, and right now in the month of July, free shipping. That is a big deal on a lot of the items. I mean, some of the items, that has a lot of weight to it, like mouthwash and stuff. Sometimes, the shipping costs as much as the product because we really discount these products. And take our Emirates Essentials, 6 new products. The company that we're using has over 40. It's one of the top 3 companies, organic in the nation, at Whole Foods. And the owner's a big fan and lets us private label it. We're not going to compete against them in stores, obviously. That's part of the contract. But we private label an organic brand that's, shampoo's normally $14.95. We sell it for $12. During a sale, it's $9 for something that would be $15. And then you get free shipping. It's amazing. We make $4 when we're having a sale. When we're not having a sale, we make, $6, $7. But I want you to love it. I want you to use the body wash, the shampoo. I want you to use all the Emirates Essentials. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. DNA Force is back in stock. Myco ZX is back in stock. 30% off with the key probiotic Biome Defense. The two go together like a horse and carriage. All right, We got to go to Montoya, Joe, Jeff, Ryan, Mike, and others. And then I'm going to bring up something really important. I'm going to write a note to Cernovich because he brought it up. And the word is girls. We're going to talk about that here in just a few minutes. But first, Montoya, thanks for holding. You bring up the main enemy. We love to make fun of Pelosi, make fun of Michael Moore, all these jokes. Maxine Waters, I don't know which one's goofier and stupider and more evil. Hillary coming back to lead the Democrats, that's manna from heaven. But the big enemy is the Republican establishment, the John McCains, the Paul Ryans. What do we do about them?
I think we can start by just going back and just looking at history, learning from our past mistakes and realizing, looking back, what it is that we did to actually to make that happen and how we can implement that on a much larger scale so that way we are really getting rid of the people that are causing the problems that we're facing right now. And I mean, I've heard people talk about, we want the Democrats too, but then I really think it really is genius to keep some of them in there because they're almost like straw men that they're in there. They can just easily be pushed. So, I mean, I think it's a great thing to have some of those same old figureheads there, but I mean, really, like, I just think that really we need to just learn from history and, how is it that we can basically do that once again and get some of these Republicans, these rhinos out. It's the rhinos they got to go, man.
And we have to realize that most countries like North Korea or Russia's been through hell or Venezuela. Venezuela was the second richest country in Latin America 50 years ago. On average, it was as wealthy as the U.S. Argentina was more wealthy than us. It was, the old saying was rich as an Argentine or an Argentine. And then socialism came, and they're literal hellholes. Literal hellholes. I mean, up until the 1960s and stuff, Argentina was the place to leave the U.S. for. That's why you go down there. There's so many second, third generation Americans down there. And now they're hellish. Beautiful countries, great culture, great resources. They went socialist. Doesn't matter if you're white, Hispanic, black, Asian, Arab. You go under socialism, you enter hell on earth 2 or 3 decades later. It's a fact. Look at Europe. Look what it creates. And we've got to pull out of it. We got to realize how serious it is. Mike Cernovich, thank you, Montoya.
Yeah, he raises a good point, too, but I want to reemphasize something that you and I talk about a lot is that caller is the information war. He's saying, how do we get them out? Well, he does. By sharing the information, by calling in, by spreading the links, by posting the messages, by posting the videos. And we want everybody listening to be involved. Maybe you run for Congress. Maybe you run for mayor, city council. Get these positions.
Yeah, let's say 4 people are running against the globalist candidate in your area for city council or whatever it is. You run, you get up there in the debates, you don't maybe win first round, but then the other candidate that's better than the other one, you take some away from the really bad guy, and then the good lady wins.
Yeah, and you get the message out. So when Dana Rohrabacher was going to be put up for Secretary of State, and then that didn't happen, I was going to run for a seat. So I'm going to run for Congress in the right environment, and whatever happens, I'm going to get the message out. I'm going to get the message out of debt slavery, how we're 50-year-old baby boomers who are liberals are making 18-year-olds sign contracts called student loans. That's really no different than debt peonage, and they're taking away the hope of an entire generation of people. One of the greatest travesties being perpetuated on the American people right now is the debt slavery that the baby boomer liberals who won't allow free speech on the college campuses are using on teenagers. So there's all these issues we got to get going on. That's why people got to get involved. You got to hit hard. Make the other people respond to us.
I agree. I've got those key points to ask you in a moment. Where is Donald Trump going wrong? And then the word girls. Those are 2 key points coming up in a moment. But let's go through these calls first. Let's go to Joe in California, then Ryan, Jeff, and Mike. Joe in California, thanks for holding.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Mike. I was reading a newspaper recently. It had a whole article on the Amelia Earhart situation with the photo and all that. And it stated that the photo source was an intelligence community asset back, 80 years ago. And my whole thought on this was, given the situation with North Korea, Japan, South Korea, why didn't they, release this over that 80-year period? It probably would have caused some kind of a diplomatic issue with Japan, right? So is it possible that maybe they release this now to create a hiccup for Donald Trump when he's dealing with, Japan? And,
yeah, that's a great point. I mean, Obama sealed the JFK files when he was supposed to release those his second year in office. He made them secret another 20 years. They sit on all this stuff. Why did they release Operation Northwoods a year before 9/11? ABC News, U.S. government planned to bomb its own cities, conduct mass shootings to blame Russia as a pretext for war with Cuba. Why now are they releasing what looks like Amelia Earhart picked up by the Japanese or whatever? Why are they releasing this from an intelligence asset now? Or was it just somebody dug through all the files that after 75, 80 years have been released? Great question, Joe. Cernovich?
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't trust that story. There's something weird going on there, actually. So that's one of those stories when it comes out that I'm reserving judgment on because it's really weird and really suspicious. It just doesn't feel right to me. Something feels off about that, and I'm not really sure why.
Yeah, especially if the Daily Beast is involved.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm very, whenever I hear Daily Beast and Salon, even when they write stuff that I think is true. So New York Mag, for example, wrote a big profile on Steve Bannon, which was remarkable. It makes Bannon look like a great person that he is. But I'm like, it's a New York Mag, though. Is New York Magazine, can anything be trusted in these publications? I just don't even know anymore. Yeah, attack. So this is a really fantastic article I'd read about Bannon.
But they only do it to make Trump, they think it makes Trump jealous. He gets too much attention.
Exactly. So I know it's a psyop. I know right away they want to make it look like, oh, we'll make Steve Bannon get attention again, and then maybe that'll mess with Trump.
Yeah, they're writing that as an elite publication, one of the 5 or 6 that officially writes talking points to then be vomited back and forth by all the media to make Bannon another distraction because he's in there helping Trump carry out his America First vision.
Yeah, exactly right. But unless I see something on InfoWars or on Twitter or something, you're like, well, it was in the New York Times or the Washington Post, History Channel, maybe, but I need more evidence than what they're offering. I need some real, because
absolutely. I mean, if delicious Foursquare meals came out of the ends of, possums' behinds, we still wouldn't eat it. It's out of a possum's behind. I mean, it doesn't matter if they say there's a blue sky. We don't believe it because New York Magazine and the New Yorker and all those publications are known enemies of the country. Joe, anything else?
That should be it. I just think it might be deep state,
God bless you. I appreciate the call. All right, let's go ahead and go to Jeff in Utah, then Ryan and Mike. Jeff, you're on the air.
Hello, Mr. Jones. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk to you about something random, if that's okay. Just wanted to thank you for the Brain Force. I've been doing it lately, and it's been great. It's a really great product.
Well, thank you. We went out and basically looked at stuff that's $50, $60 a bottle that didn't even have as good an ingredients, that weren't organic, some of which are drugs in Europe that are known to be healthy and good for your brain, building blocks, and we simply put it out as a nootropic at about half the price of leading competitors, and that's why it's super successful and dominant right now. But thank you so much. What happened when you took Brain Force?
That, but I also want to tell you that I found an alternate use for it. One night I took it right before going to bed, and I had one of the most vivid dreams I've ever had, like in 20 years. And it started getting me to think about dreams and why we dream, and the REM cycle and everything. And I'm starting to think that our REM cycle has been diminished because we don't get enough of those nutrients that are in Brain Force. So this is kind of a weird, theory.
I was about to say, I'm not the scientist that put it together. It's got a bunch of things that are building blocks in the brain, just base building blocks. So it's not like an artificial system that makes your brain do things artificially. It just gives your brain the basic building blocks it needs.
Right, but what I'm saying is if you take it during the day, that's different than taking it at night, right before you go to bed. You'll have more dreams. And I've given it to people with really bad anxiety, like me and my siblings. Anxiety runs in our family. And it's amazing. Our anxiety has gone down. I'm not saying it's like a panacea, but I don't know if it's, I think it's like when you're sleeping, you dream because your brain is doing some kind of custodial work with getting rid of neural connections that are not necessary. That's just my own theory. And I'm not a psychologist. The psychologists don't know why we dream. They don't know why we have anxiety, why the rates of anxiety are going up. I think the globalists have taken out alpha GPC from the meat and other things so that we don't dream as much.
Well, they actually know what it is. The brain figures things out, models things, replenishes nutrients, chemicals, sugars it's needed, and then works through fears and problems it has and basically comes to grip with it. And so a lot of people that have traumatic brain disorders and things, they don't dream. And of course, that's associated with early onset of neurological disorders. And so dreaming is the proof that you're going into the deep REM sleep you need. And absolutely, we don't exercise enough. We don't eat enough raw materials. And we also don't go through enough challenges every day that are actually real. So our brain doesn't like the simulated world. Simulations, television, internet, all of it, hurts the brain in every study. It's universal. But physical things and real things, or reading or listening, expands the brain. Great points. Thank you for your testimony about Brain Force. It does a lot of amazing things for people. Thank you so much, Jeff, for your support and for holding. We're going to send you a free T-shirt of your choice, or if you like a bottle of Brain Force, just tell the folks and we'll do that. What do you think of what he just said?
You know, an important point, too, is the supplements you sell actually improve lives. And the drugs that CNN and other multi-billion-dollar media conglomerates sell, like statins, actually harm people, but they attack you for helping people help themselves. That just shows you how desperate fake news is. Think about that for a minute.
They've had the Washington Post 3 times the last year write articles where I sell snake oil. And, I mean, Knockout is L-tryptophan, it is valerian root, it is a dose of melatonin, a moderate dose, and a bunch of other things that are documented to cause chemical reactions in the brain associated with deeper and better sleep. And they even wrote articles in saying coffee that I sell is a fraud, that I'm selling good coffee and that coffee doesn't affect your brain, then I'm a quack. So shampoo that's organic, non-fluoride toothpaste, it's all kooky. Yeah, and laying out on the beach at Cancun's horrible too. And, you know, being married to Marilyn Monroe in her prime would be horrible, I'm sure. I mean, it's just like, wow, I sell coffee. Wow. And the Washington Post, owned by the guy that owns Whole Foods, that promotes Prozac and statins and all this crap. I'm bad when they're owned by the biggest supplement guy in the world. Supplements are $50 billion a year or whatever in the U.S. because they work. Because they work. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I take a couple $100s a month in supplements, and I have for years, and that's why when people look me in the eyes, like, wow, you have such clear, you know, you look clear all the time, you focused and everything, and people accuse me of drugs. I have a very regimented supplement regime, and speak of the devil, you know, Amazon is where I buy a lot of the stuff, but we're reformulating some things. So speak of the devil, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, massive supplement company, but the Washington Post won't say, well, why is Amazon selling supplements? But then they go, why is Alex Jones and InfoWars selling supplements? Even though, you know, and I don't want to tell too much, I've been talking to you and your team about it, and there are really strict quality controls, certificates of insurance and everything. It isn't just like anybody can sell at the InfoWars store. The quality control and the FDA inspections and regulation are extremely high.
Well, we have the highest level because we know we're a target, plus we want to sell the best stuff ever. Now, expanding on this, BioTrue Selenium, this is electrochemical. Folks, if you think Brain Force gives you energy, if you're deficient in selenium, and most people are, just, you know, the FDA says selenium's totally safe and blah, blah, blah. This is the kind of thing I say, watch what you're doing with True Organic Selenium, because it will blow you away. I mean, just look into selenium and cancer, folks. Look into selenium deficiency and cancer. Just do your own research. It's incredible. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com. Now, briefly here, because we got to go to break, come back, take more calls. Girls, you hit the buzzword there. I've got 3 daughters and a son. And you know, I love my son and I care about him, but I genetically worry about daughters more. You want to protect, it's just genetic. And when I look at my daughters particularly, and I think about the New World Order, that's what drives me. And quite frankly, that's when I have just the most outrageous, aggressive thoughts and feelings of not invincibility, but just savage power. When I think about if somebody messes with my daughters, and that's so much of, I'm even tired at like midnight having to work, I just think about my daughters' faces and just have unending energy.
Yeah, the other day I was actually putting my daughter, 7-month-old Syra, into the crib, and I had this vision in my head of all the parents, and I got to be careful, I was almost crying. I thought about all the parents in Syria whose children were murdered because of the Hillary Clinton foreign policy.
Exactly.
And how they want to murder. I just thought, all I want to do is my daughter to have a good life. That's all these people in Syria want, is to have their children.
And then you had a feeling of total commitment against the enemy, didn't you?
Yeah, and then I realized, like, I just had this vision of parents crying and weeping and holding their dead children, and I thought, this is what the deep state wants. This is what they're up against.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Stay there. All right, let's get serious. I got more calls to take. I'm only doing 5 minutes the next hour because the great David Knight's coming in. And I would imagine, Mike Cernovich, we should have gotten into Comey in June. My Trump memos were unclassified. Not a government document. He violated federal law not giving those to the Attorney General, period. But now it's admitted they were classified. Comey's private memos on Trump conversations contain classified material. The Hill. So Congress is now saying that. He is in deep doo-doo. I want to get your take on that before we talk to Ryan and Mike. But getting back to women, realizing that Islam oppresses women, and that they're now branding it as the new feminism, and that globalists hate innocence, hate women, hate children. They're targeting our strength, and they're claiming the West is against women when it's been the West that put women on a pedestal, Mike Cernovich.
Yeah, they're death eaters, and they do want to harm children. That's why they want to murder more children. How many children in Iraq have cancer now? Something like 500,000? I can't remember.
Something like 15% of the babies are totally deformed.
Yeah, from all the lithium and all the batteries and all of the toxins from the bombs and the cluster bombs that are dropped. All these Yemeni children are being slaughtered. The Saudis are murdering Christian children. The Clinton Foundation going into Haiti. Chelsea Clinton stealing money from Haitian orphans. They're purely diabolical. And that is why when the fake news media goes after us, I'm so happy. Because there are fathers now who've lost their children and mothers who have lost their children because of Madeleine Albright. She said it was worth it. Remember this?
500,000 kids is a good price to pay.
That's worth it. She said it, their own words. And then Madeleine Albright, she said it. Oh, it's worth it. Who cares?
Briefly, because I want to go to calls here. What do you make of Comey? And, of course, it was classified, but now it's admitted to be classified. He perjured himself, and it was illegal. We have to take the gloves off here. Mueller, all these little Clinton rats, they have to be dealt with.
Well, if I were Trump, what I would do, and I have this whole plan laid out, if they want to, I call it the mother of all media stories. Drive the media crazy. Here's what I would do if I'm Trump. Fire Mueller. He has the power to fire him. Independent counsels are a disaster. Ask Ted Olson, anybody during the Reagan administration. They're a disaster. Bill Clinton, despite being a scumbag, what he was impeached for had nothing to do with what the investigation was about. Okay.
And I think Trump should open investigation of Clinton and the missile secrets and reactors in North Korea and just start indictments on all of them. Just triple down early on.
And so fire Mueller, pardon Julian Assange, and then just freak the media out. Just go all in.
Oh, have you heard? Folks are saying make Julian Assange the head guy on this new cyber command between the U.S. and Russians that Trump talked about.
And offer him political refugee status. So I would pardon Assange, and I would say you have a refugee status.
What about deporting? Because she says she's not an American. She doesn't want to assimilate. What about deporting as an enemy combatant? She's at Hamas meetings, saying don't assimilate, wage jihad. How about we deport Linda Sarsour?
We need to do something about the Muslim Brotherhood. The flip side, actually, I don't want her out. I want her in. Oh, my gosh.
You want her here running around spewing her. Okay, well, we're going to be back in 70 seconds with phone calls. Mike Cernovich, 5 more minutes. Then David Knight.
Thank you for listening.
The Titan is coming. Mike Cernovich is our guest. David Knight's coming up. I got to a lot of the news, but, man, I didn't get to the media saying men are having babies and it's a woman that says she's a man. And there's people saying they're dogs, people blinding themselves, government's paying for it. Just because you identify as a blind person, so you burn your eyes out with Drano. And it's just, I don't care if you want to chop your weenie off. Just, I'm not paying for it. And I'm not going to pay for you, to go live in a mental institution either. Mike in Colorado coming up, but Ryan in California, thank you for holding. You're a trooper. You're on the air with Mike Cernovich, who's got a Kickstarter program for the new film Hoax that I had him on to plug it. He's not plugging it. Go ahead, Ryan.
All right, Alex, thanks for having me on. And thanks for being my daily dose of sanity out here in Los Angeles. The wheels have largely fallen off this place, I feel like. And it's a lot to do with the trans community, the genderqueer community. And, this is how these new world order people operate. They come in with the solution, even though they are the cause of the confusion. So anyways, I've studied this into the ground. And one thing I've noticed is that when you go to one of these liberal colleges and you take a women's and gender studies class, 101, one of the first things they teach you is that there is a difference between gender identity and sexual identity. And that's something that even we can agree with. You know, just because you're a male does not mean you're a man. Just because you have female genitals, that does not mean you're a woman. Not every little male child wants to swing a bat. Not every little female child wants to wear a dress, whatever. But here's the thing. What I've noticed is that once these people learn that there's freedom to be any kind of male they want to be, any kind of female they want to be, then they go all the way over to the other side.
Sure, it allows folks to dodge responsibility, and they get confused youth with confused chemicals. But let's expand. Transhumanism came out of eugenics with Julian Huxley, Aldous Huxley's brother, and they said, we've got to make it sound trendy. We'll call it trans, and they funded some front groups and claimed that one man who was a woman came up with it. That was all their front group, and the media funded it for the whole transhumanism, because if a man can be a woman and vice versa, well, you can merge with machines. They're just getting us ready for ending humanity. That's their real plan.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, once they go over to the other side of what, you know, there is a lot of support to say that gender is a psychological construct. Fine, you can be any kind of a male you want. You can be a male.
Well, there's psychology and roles associated with it, but from genetic history. But I mean, here's the issue. I don't hate anybody, whether they want to be a man or a woman. The point is that the issue is it's being force-fed, they're confusing kids, and it's meant to reduce population and end families. Appreciate your call, Ryan. Interesting points. Mike Cernovich.
Yeah, you are the Daily Dose of Sanity, and this is what people come to Infowars.com every day. They come for the truth, the real news viewpoint. Again, Foreign Policy is now admitting, even though it's a globalist magazine, that you and I, we know where people are eating lunch, and we know who they're having lunch with. Where do you get better news and information than Infowars.com? And that's why, you know, the daily show that we're talking about, you know, we will get it done. You know, we're just both so busy and everything like that. And I'm doing a film, hoaxed. We want to give people truth 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're up at 3 in the morning, we want you to be able to find a live stream and watch us. We want you to hear us. The hoax, this documentary is going to take on the fake news media. We're expanding, and that's why the support from the listeners and viewers does mean so much.
And that's why the enemy's coming after us. Reading this article, it's got high-level CIA saying we've got to be stopped and admitting that we're exposing them, that it's intimidating them. Well, you're the ones wrecking the country and trying to sexualize kids and trying to bring in the radical Muslims. I mean, you're the one that won a war, guys. I mean, you've weaponized media and you started a fight with us. What do you expect, dumbasses?
Yeah, I love it. A CIA guy with 30 years of experience is now saying these people are dangerous. Well, we are dangerous to deep state. Get used to it. We're not going.
Yeah, it's our country, not yours, to teach you know kids how to be trannies. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, you weaponize everything. You killed most of the public's brains, and now humanity's rising up. Mike, we'll get to you, but with David Knight. Thank you, Cernovich.
All right, welcome back to the fourth hour of the Alex Jones Show on this Monday, July 10th, 2017. I'm David Knight, your host. We have got a lot of breaking news. We're going to talk about Comey's private parts. Yes, they've been exposed. I want to talk about what the mainstream media is not going to talk about. And we're also going to talk about this dirty dossier that they're trying to set up on Donald Trump. It's the same people who created the dirty dossier for Donald Trump Sr. that are also involved in this meeting. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to tell you what the mainstream media is telling you. We're going to tell you what the mainstream media is not telling you. Also, an interesting story that's on the Drudge Report. Absolutely amazing, folks. You need to think about this. Cancer is now more common than having children. And it's more common than getting married. How about that? And we're also going to talk about how Obamacare is metastasizing. Because we've got, they're not even talking about stopping cancer. As Alex has talked about for the longest time. They just talk about treating it. But now they don't really even talk about that. It's like, well, let's make sure that you've all got insurance so that everybody can get paid for treating you. But we're not going to talk about the quality of health care. We're not going to talk about the affordability of health care. Because if you subsidize it, it is simply going to continue to get more and more expensive, just like college tuition. And then they're going to make the case, just like they're doing for college tuition now, oh, the government needs to pay it all. It needs to be free to everybody. That's what Elizabeth Warren is sitting on the sidelines, licking her lips about. She can't wait for the government to take over all of your health care. So we're going to give you an update on Charlie Gard as well. because that's a very important story that has to do with not just parental rights and not just the right to life of an 11-month-old baby, but, folks, it has to do with your right to life, your right to make the decisions about your own life. And so we're going to talk about this, talk a little bit on Friday with an update. There's been yet another update about the Charlie Gard situation. We now got some lawmakers in the U.S. saying, let's give the family of Charlie Gard, the parents and Charlie, let's give them U.S. citizenship so they can get health care. That should tell you something, shouldn't it? And yet, on this side, before you get too proud of the freedoms that you have as an American, understand that the hospital who wants to provide free health care to this kid says, well, we got to get the authorization of the FDA. We got to get their permission to give experimental treatment to a terminal patient. And this is something we've been dealing with regardless of the age of the patient for a very long time. So something to talk about there as well. Another topic we're going to get into before I go to our caller who's been hanging on for a while, Mike in Colorado, I'm going to go to you in just a moment. Colorado voters are deregistering in the wake of the fact that the Colorado state government says, well, yeah, we're going to turn over this information that's public information about voter registration. We're going to turn it over to the Trump Election Integrity Commission that's going to look at fraud. And so a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want them to see my name. Oh, let's get my name off of there. What are they worried about? So we're going to get to all those stories, but we've had a caller who's been hanging on for a very long time. Mike in Colorado, go ahead. Thank you for holding.
Hey, David, I have some information here, and the information is this. You guys are not afraid to speak out about Islam. You know, mainstream Christian television has censored this for over 6 years. Dr. Chuck Missner, Mark of the Beast, Wally Shoibat, Mark of the Beast. In the King James, it says 666, but this is an absolute mistranslation from the Codex Hermana 350 AD. They were reading it from left to right, as you do Greek, English. They should have been reading these three symbols that the Apostle John wrote down from right to left. As Mr. Shoibat says in his research, he reads Arabic. The first two symbols are Arabic, and what they say are Benzin Allah. The third symbol is the cross swords of Islam. God did not forget to tell us about Islam in the end times, but the mainstream Christianity has censored this for over 6 years.
Interesting. Yeah, there certainly has been people, you know, when Donald Trump went to Poland and he talked to the people who were there, and he talked to the struggles that Poland has had, and he kind of focused a lot on the 20th century and the fact that they had been trampled by both the Nazis and the communists, but they have been fighting this kind of oppression. And, of course, people in Eastern Europe understand what happened throughout Eastern Europe. It's not just in Poland, but it was also in Austria. When I traveled to Austria, the cities that were there that defended themselves against the onslaught of Islam coming from the Arabic countries into there, the stand that they made against that, they don't want to see that happen again. And there is still a memory in those cultures of what happened, even though it was centuries ago, because it was so incredibly oppressive. And people need to understand that Islam is not simply a religion. It is a government. And they see the fulfillment of their religion in worldwide government. And so worldwide caliphate, that's what they see as a fulfillment of their religion, isn't it, Mike?
Yes. Yes, and you know, when everyone looks from a Western mindset, Mr. Shoibat will change that. And when people today say, look, I saw a beast who received a head wound and the world was amazed when the beast came back to life, that's not the person or the individual of the Antichrist. That was the Muslim Caliphate, the Ottoman Turkish Empire. And God is telling us about this end-time religion. As Michael Savage says, you know, language, border, customs, that's what they do. And they change times and season. It's not longer AD, but it's after AH, after the age of Muhammad. So it all points to Islam. And, you know, Mr. Knight, look, I'd love to send this material to you so that you can review it, and then you make your opinion on what Islam in the end time and scriptures say.
Well, you know, I can see what is happening. I'm not a zombie like the people who are marching in Hamburg. I mean, it's quite clear to people who are awake and want to see this, but a big part of putting people to sleep and anesthetizing them to what's going on in the surrounding is the indoctrination and the propagandizing that goes on in their educational institutions to make them so self-loathing, so full of self-hatred for themselves that they will not take a look at the obvious violence that is being perpetrated on them by the people who are coming in to the countries with the open borders. They want to embrace this. They're so ashamed of who they are because of the way they have been indoctrinated since they were children. I think that's the key thing. I think that's really where the education needs to begin. we as parents, if we don't have the ability to educate our children 100% at home as homeschool, we need to make sure that we educate our children as to what they're being taught and to counter what they're being taught, because they're not being given the tools of learning. What they're being given are a set of propagandized ideas, and that's what we need to understand, what's being taught to our children, and then we need to tell our children what the truth is. And I think that's really where this comes from, this kind of Stockholm syndrome, where they not only accept the oppressors, but they also hate themselves, and that's what they're being taught in schools. We see that everywhere. We saw that in the reaction to what Trump was saying in Poland. Now we see the mainstream media coming out and saying he was preaching white supremacy and hatred of other people. It's like, no, he wasn't. He was saying you have to have the will to survive. You have a right to survive. The Polish people had the will, even though they were occupied and oppressed and conquered over and over again. They had the will to survive as a people. Self-determination. That's everybody's right. And so I think that's the key part of it. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, go ahead and send that to me. I'll take a look at that information. Appreciate that.
Okay, great. I'll send it to you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, so let's take a look at James Comey's private parts, metaphorically speaking here. Comey, back in June, said, my Trump memos were unclassified. They were not a government document. And yet we had on Sunday night the news breaking on the Hill saying that more than half of the notes taken by Comey after his meetings with President Trump contained classified information. And they point out in this Grabian news story that twice he denied that he had any classified material. He said this when he was testifying to the Senate Intelligence Committee. He told this to Senator Roy Blunt. He also told it to Mark Warner. Blunt said, so were all your memos that you recorded unclassified or other document memos that might be yours as a private citizen? He said, I'm sorry, I'm not following your question. He goes, well, I think you said you used classified. He said, no, not classified documents, unclassified. I don't have them anymore. I gave them to special counsel. But yeah, my view was the content of those unclassified, the memorialization of those conversations was my recollection recorded. Now, I said at the time, because I was covering this live, this testimony live, and I said it at the time, I said he has done the same thing that Hillary Clinton did, and he's going to try to get off with this in terms of saying that nothing's to be done about this because I didn't have any bad intentions or because I didn't expose anybody criminally, but that's not the standard. There are laws and ethics. And in the Hill, the article, they made it very clear what the standard was when they said that more than half of the memos that he had made about these meetings had classified information in it. He insisted, says the Hill, that his testimony, he believed the personal memos were unclassified, though he hinted one or two documents that he created might have contained classified information. He says, my view was that the content of those unclassified memorialization was my recollection recorded. That's what I just read to you, okay? But when the 7 memos that he wrote regarding his 9 conversations with Trump about Russia earlier this year were shown to Congress in recent days, the FBI claimed that all were in fact deemed to be government documents. 4 of the memos had markings making clear that they contained information classified at the secret or confidential level. So let me explain this, because I want to read to you what the Washington Post is saying about this, how they're trying to spin this. So the FBI is saying that all of these documents were government documents, and he was keeping them on his private computer. And at the time, we had former FBI agents and government officials saying, look, if he wanted to memorialize this and make sure that he had a record that it was really done contemporaneously rather than something that he added after the fact when he was fired and wanted to get even with Trump as a disgruntled employee, there were ways to do that. People who work in the system say we have work computers. That's where government documents are supposed to reside, not on your private computer. And if he had done it that way, if he had done it according to the agreement that he signs when he joins the FBI, then he not only would have proved that he had done this at the time, but then he would not have violated the law, which he now has. But even beyond that, 4 of the memos had markings making it clear that they contained information that was classified at the secret or the confidential level. Now, when we come back, I want to read to you how the Washington Post wants to get him off the hook, how they want to dance around the real issue. Very important that we see how they spin this. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Before we went to break, I was just telling you that the FBI has said that all of Comey's memos, he took 7 memos of his 9 conversations with President Trump. The FBI says all of these were government documents. Furthermore, 4 of the memos had markings, making it clear that they contained classified information to the level of confidential and secret. Now, here's what the Hill said when they released this information yesterday. And understand, the Hill is not a conservative news organization. If anything, I think they lean a little bit anti-Trump, but they have different people who write at their organization. But they put out some information here. I want to show you how the Washington Post spins this report that came from the Hill. Let me give you the report from the Hill first. They said that FBI policy forbids any agent from releasing classified information. It mandates that all records created during official duties are considered to be government property. You understand that? That's official policy. That's why all of these memos are government documents, because they were created during the official duty of FBI Director Comey when he talked to the president. And furthermore, it's part of an agreement that our FBI agent signed that says this, quote, all information acquired by me in connection with my official duties with the FBI and all official material to which I have access remain the property of the United States of America. An agent will not reveal by any means any information or material from or related to FBI files or any other information acquired by virtue of my official employment to any unauthorized recipient without prior official written authorization by the FBI. That's why Donald Trump tweeted out today that FBI Director Comey has broken the law. It's based on the reporting and the reality that was talked about in this Hill article on Sunday. Now, today we had the Washington Post react to this. They reacted, first of all, to Donald Trump's tweet. Just as we had seen CNN's Acosta following Donald Trump to Europe, to the G20, saying, what is he talking about, this 3 or 4 agencies? It was 17 agencies. When a week earlier, we had the New York Times and Reuters do retractions and say, no, it wasn't 17 agencies, it was 3 or 4. And as we pointed out, it wasn't even 3 or 4 agencies. It was a CrowdStrike report, a contractor to the DNC, the same people who told the FBI, no, you can't see our servers. We're going to tell you that this was the Russians, in spite of the fact that CrowdStrike had to do retractions based on lies that they had told about the Ukraine. So CrowdStrike, a GNC contractor who worked for Hillary Clinton, said, we're not going to show you the servers, FBI, we will just tell you what the situation is. And then on the basis of that, James Clapper presented the information to these 3 agencies, and he said nobody objected. So then he put it out there as everybody agrees with it, unanimously, all 17 agencies. Where did that phrase come from? It came from Hillary Clinton. So what we see here is intervention by James Clapper on the behalf of Hillary Clinton. That's called the violation of the Hatch Act. That's exactly what happened through this while he was in office, and he did it after he left. Now, here's the Washington Post story. Trump accuses James Comey of breaking the law. Yeah, he did. He did. We just read to you the relevant FBI policy and the issues based on a misleading Fox News report. And let me say to you also that it wasn't pointed out in the Hill, but I have pointed it out over and over again, and others have as well, what Circa's research revealed, and that is the fact that we had the FISA court, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court, say that the FBI and the NSA violated the law when they spied on people in the Trump administration and other politicians, other senators. People like Lindsey Graham are saying, wait a minute, how do I find out? Because I think you guys are spying on me. How do I find out if you were spying on me or not? How do I ever get that? Well, we can't tell you, Senator. If we told you, we'd have to destroy your privacy, is what they keep saying to him. So we know that the NSA and the FBI violated the law. Why? Not because of an anonymous source coming through some junk magazine like the New York Times or the Washington Post, some rag like that. No, because the FISA court said so. And the FISA court, which has these decisions and keeps them in secret, declassified that. So we would all know, and yet nobody has really paid much attention to it. Circa put it out there. Drudge put it out there. We've talked about it here on InfoWars. Let's talk about the way Washington Post spun this today. They said it was Fox and Friends on Monday morning who put this out, and then Donald Trump tweeted, oh, Comey leaked classified information to the media. That is so illegal. Well, let's remind people that Fox News was quoting a story from The Hill. Why would Washington Post then say it was Fox News? Because they want to show this as a partisan issue rather than a legal issue. And they want to talk about the Monday morning show rather than the Sunday article that exposed this in detail. They go in and they talk about the different classified information and the different levels, and they say, well, you know, this wasn't really highly classified. They did exactly the opposite for Hillary. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show on this Monday, July 10th, 2017. And I point out that it's Monday because it was yesterday, Sunday, that The Hill came out with this expose on James Comey, exposing his private parts, his private memos, as not being private at all, but really being government documents. Why? We read that information to you. Anything that is created as part of his official business is a government document. Furthermore, out of the 7 documents that he created about the 9 meetings that he had with President Trump, 4 of those had classified markings on them. Meanwhile, the Washington Post says, oh, Trump is out there tweeting about Comey breaking the law, and he's doing it based on a misleading Fox News report. No, it was The Hill. They point out Fox News because they want to say it's simply partisan. And so they reference this Monday morning show, and yet, buried in the comments, they have the Fox News host referring back to The Hill's article the previous day. But they keep trying to put it on Fox News and say there's nothing there, move along. They say Trump team embraced this idea that Comey had leaked classified information to his friends because it reinforces the president's prior arguments that the man he fired was a real villain in the interactions. It reinforces the fact that this guy had violated the law. Democrats knew that he had violated the Hatch Act when he got involved in the election with Hillary. They were screaming, saying, this guy is trying to rig the election or move it in one direction or the other. And some people pointed out at the time that James Comey has done something that even J. Edgar Hoover didn't try to do, and that is try to threaten both candidates simultaneously to keep his position in place. That's the level of corruption that we have here. But the fact remains that he's got 4 documents that were classified as secret or confidential. And this is what the Washington Post says. Fox report. Again, they don't talk about The Hill. The Fox report summarizes, though not apparently, top secret material. The levels of classification go confidential, secret, and top secret. Did they ever explain that to us when we were talking about Hillary Clinton's emails? We said many times that her discussions that she would have with foreign heads of state as Secretary of State here in the United States, those are born at a high level of classification. As a matter of fact, a lot of the stuff, before it even got stamped, it was already understood to be classified. And most of what she did and put on her servers was above top secret. And yet, when they try to downplay this, when the Washington Post says, well, you know, classifications are confidential, secret, and top secret. Did they ever care about that when the guy who worked on the submarine, the sailor who was on the submarine, took a couple of pictures of his workplace as souvenirs for his kids? And they said anything that you take inside a submarine, anything, you shoot a picture of your bed, that is immediately classified as confidential. And they sent him to jail. Because remember, James Comey said, well, you know, for Hillary Clinton, we're going to give her a pass because we don't think there was any evil intent. No, that wasn't, there wasn't any evil intent for this submarine sailor. And yet they sent him to jail. Hillary Clinton does above top secret. Even sets up her own flag there so that people can find the emails. Maybe she just did that so she was passing it on to them. ClintonEmails.com, you know, just so you don't miss it. You know, here it is right here, not protected. Come and get the information that you've already paid for somewhere else, presumably, okay? But this is the level of corruption, and this is the way the Washington Post spends this. To point out that it's a Fox News thing, to try to downplay this and say, look, it's not the most classified stuff, and yeah, there's nothing to see here. It was just Trump reacting to Fox and Friends. No, it's the reality that he broke the law. Is he going to be prosecuted for that? Is he going to be prosecuted for violating the law, as the FISA court says, in terms of violating, doing searches without warrants and exposing people by unmasking them? Are they going to come after James Comey for doing that? We'll have to see. I don't know if Attorney General Sessions has the guts or the backbone to do this. I'm beginning to wonder why he's not taking action on any of this stuff. All right, we're going to play here. I've got a clip for you of Mark Zuckerberg actually doing an interview with CNN. It looks like he took a truth serum. Absolutely amazing. So I'm going to play that for you. But before I do, real quickly, I will remind you that The 4th of July special that we put up was not taken down today, so it is still in effect for the rest of the day. And take advantage of these massive discounts. We've got DNA Force back in stock, 20% off retail. We got Z-Shield, the toxic metal and chemical defense support formula, 30% off at InfoWarsLife.com. And InfoWars Select Storable Food, 30 to 40% off at InfoWarsStore.com. Also, Living Defense, 20% off retail. We have massive sales at InfoWarsLife.com. Again, they're still up today as part of our InfoWars 4th of July Summer Mega Specials. Still live today. Take advantage of this. It's not going to last. Let's go to this report from Mark Zuckerberg, where he actually tells the truth to CNN. Here's that clip.
It's an incredibly big deal that Facebook is completely overhauling its mission and has a new mission. So what is the new mission of Facebook?
Yeah, we're going to start censoring pro-Trump news or news we don't like. Not even fake stuff. We're just going to censor it.
So how exactly do you do that?
So I guess the message is to you, hey, it don't matter what's true. You keep your mouth shut or we're going to call you Hitler.
Take me inside Mark Zuckerberg's head to like the moment that you decided you needed to change Facebook's core mission. Was there an event that happened, or was there just a moment that you said, we got to change something?
Obama put an internet kill switch in place in 2010 and then signed a bill right before he left office saying that the CIA would be over the media and over the Board of Governors of the FCC. I mean, this is crazy stuff, and it's in the news. It's not like I'm saying it.
What have you had to kind of learn from the spread of misinformation, or what have you learned to make sure that people can really connect?
It's not in the news, but corporations send each other communications, and they send stockholders information. And everything's there. Everything's there. I mean, you read the white papers today, it's like, we're preparing for a post-human world and looking at the best way. Do we just kill everybody right away with the virus, or do we entertain them and then have them opt in to get more money up front to then have the government euthanize them later?
We keep hearing we've never been more divided, we've never been more polarized. Was it the political climate that led to kind of this awakening?
Let me give you the big news right now. Let me tell everybody the big news right now. If you think 14-year-old and 12-year-old news about cameras and microphones watching and listening to you, you're like, oh, what? There's nothing about me that's interesting. Just like people put stuff on Facebook when they're going out of town where they live, people rob them. It's not that you did something wrong. You told folks what you had in your house, where you lived, and where you were going for a week. Oh, you're going to Cancun for a week. You said where you lived and what you had in your house and showed off the stuff you had, and then robbers robbed you. You're a dumbass. I don't say that meanly. It's true. Just like, oh, let the government know what I've got. I know nothing to hide. As if the government's full of angels. Samsung and all these companies for a decade have been telling you they're doing this because they're selling the data on you and the intel on you into big algorithm systems.
Okay, that was actually an entry. I'm sure you figured that out by now. That was actually an entry into our contest, our CNN contest. Great entry, so I wanted to play that for you. And I want to talk a little bit about what happened with Donald Trump Jr. But before I do, I want to talk about what's really going on in this country with our healthcare system. This story that was up on Drudge Report today. Cancer is now more common than getting married or having a first baby. And you know, we can talk about the fake news. We can talk about all this, Russia that, and everything. As Kellyanne Conway said to Chris Cuomo today, she said, aren't you embarrassed to talk more about Russia than America? And we do need to counter that. But let's talk about America here for a moment. Let's talk about our life and our liberty to pursue health care. That's what's really at issue here. And I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the U.S. with Obamacare. And I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the UK with this 11-month-old baby, Charlie Gard. There's been an update on this as well today. Let's talk about the situation in the UK. This is the UK, where they're saying cancer is now more common than getting married or having a first baby. That may be the case in the United States as well. There's a Telegraph story that's on the Drudge Report. Developing cancer is now more common than getting married or having a first baby. This is research from Macmillan Cancer Support. They said there were 361,000 cancers diagnosed in 2014 in the UK, compared to 289,000 marriages. New cancer cases are also as common as graduating from university. See, it's a rite of passage. It's how we exit this life now, is cancer. Remember when Alex Jones was talking to Megyn Kelly? And he was talking to her about this very issue. He said, you may likely outlive your children. Why would he say that? Well, it's because of the environmental factors, what they put into our food and water. That's why this is snowballing. It's why cancer is metastasizing throughout our society, as it's metastasizing throughout our bodies. And he said, you may think that this is really radical, but he's trying to tell her what he's been trying to tell his audiences for a long time. It's one of the reasons why we want to be independent, but we also want to help people to preserve their lives, to fight back against it. This is an act of resistance, folks, to take care of your health, to start eating clean food, to understand the nutritional deficiencies that are in the diet in America. So it's a part of resisting this death plan that they have for everybody. They also point out 271,000 babies born to first-time mothers in England and Wales in 2015 compared to 319,000 new cases of cancer. Absolutely disgusting to see that kind of information. Meanwhile, what do we have going on here in America? We've got conservatives who are revolting over talk of keeping the Obamacare tax. Remember Admiral Akbar, from Star Wars, that meme? It's a tax. It's a tax, folks. It's not an attack. This tax is an attack on our society, on our freedom. This is focusing on welfare and entitlement. It is not focusing on affordability, on quality of health care. That's what this is truly about. And if you look at this picture we have on our article, this is from The Hill, it's original article from The Hill. We have it on our site. Obamacare, the big lie. Tired of corporate elitist government. That's precisely what this is. This was something that was designed as crony capitalism. This is a kind of fascist takeover of our health care. Where are the Antifa people when it comes to Obamacare? Oh, no, they want even more of that. Conservative groups are warning GOP senators against keeping an Obamacare tax on investment income in their health care bill, an idea that's gained some traction among lawmakers. GOP lawmakers have floated keeping Obamacare's 3.8% net investment income tax to help pay for more generous health care subsidies for low-income people. Again, still ignoring the fact that they did a net asset sweep out of Fannie and Freddie, stealing money from people who are conservatively investing it for their retirement. A lot of people have done that in Fannie and Freddie. Those investors have had 100% of their money taken away. Fannie and Freddie became profitable. Obama could not get the Congress to fund it, and they sued him when he went ahead and took the money anyway. And a judge agreed with the Republican Congress and said, no, the Republicans have to allocate money. You can't just grab this money. And so they continue to do it anyway. And we still have the Department of Justice appealing that decision. Where is Attorney General Sessions on this? Stop the appeal. Stop the theft. Stop Obamacare. You have to repeal this. You're not going to make it more affordable when you put taxes on medical devices, when you put taxes on other health care. And this is distracting people's attention, say there's only a tax on investment income. That's one of many, many taxes that are part of Obamacare. It is not about making anything more affordable. It is about redistributing income, and it is about creating an entitlement program. It's not about making health care better or more affordable. Meanwhile, Republicans are debating what to do with Plan B because it looks like they're not going to be able to repeal and replace because that's too much to do in one step. It's too complicated. They can't agree on it. So can't we at least agree they're going to shut this down? Where is the resistance coming from? It's coming from the Republicans. We said this before the election. We said before the election, Trump's biggest opponents are not going to be Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Trump's biggest opponents on Obamacare are going to be McConnell and Boehner. No, sorry, not Boehner, but Ryan, a clone of Boehner. It was Paul Ryan, who was the VP, that was going to push through Obamacare if Mitt Romney got in. It would have been Romneycare, like he did in Massachusetts. They have always, the Republicans at the top, have always been about creating this welfare system, this government takeover of our health care. Meanwhile, we see Donald Trump doing the right thing, and we also see in the VA, the Veterans Administration, we also see what government-run healthcare is going to look like. And we're going to talk about what it looks like in the UK here in just a moment as well. But let's talk about what it looks like with our government-run healthcare, the VA. They've just now terminated 500, suspended 200 for misconduct. 548 Department of Veteran Affairs, VA employees, have been terminated since President Trump took office, indicating that his campaign pledge to clean up probably the most incompetently run agency in the United States, that's what he said, by putting his TV catchphrase, "You're fired," into action was more than just empty rhetoric. Another 200 VA workers were suspended, 33 demoted. And this includes 22 senior leaders, more than 70 nurses, 14 police officers, 25 physicians. Also disciplined were a program analyst dealing with the Government Accountability Office, which audits the department, a public affairs specialist, a chief of police, and a chief of surgery. Massive corruption in the VA. Huge salaries paid to these people at the top, while the soldiers and the veterans who are supposed to be getting health care can't get anything at all. That's the scandal of the VA. And that, folks, is what government-run health care, single-payer health care, that's what it's going to look like here in the United States. Let's take a look at what it looks like in the UK. Today we had, and of course, if you haven't been following this story, I've done several reports on it, Charlie Gard, a little 11-month-old baby in the UK who has a very rare disease. He's been given a death sentence by the British courts and the hospital who want to take him off of life support. Meanwhile, there is a hospital in the United States that wants to give him free experimental treatment if they will let him come. And they said no. The parents appealed it to the EU court. The EU court said no. And so now, well, it got even worse than that. Then they said, we're going to, and it was going to be Friday, June the 30th, they were going to take him off of life support. And the parents said, well, can we take him home to die? No, you can't. We don't have any option for doing that. They said, we'll pay for it. No, we don't have any option for you to pay for it either. We're not going to let you pay for it. We're not going to let you take your child home to die where you would like him to go, and not even going to let him go to a hospice. No, he's going to die here in the hospital when we say so. That's single-payer system. That's government-run health care. And so now we've got another hearing today, and this judge, Justice Francis, said that they've got 48 hours to produce evidence to convince them that this treatment is going to help Charlie. Why should they have to convince this judge? Why should they have to prove that? They're not medical specialists. There's a medical specialist in the United States that says, yeah, I think this might help. Why isn't that sufficient? Why do they care so much that they want to kill him? As the mother said last week, she said, euthanasia is illegal. Assisted suicide is illegal. Why is this legal? And as I said, we care so much about him. We just want to make sure that the right things happen to him. And the father couldn't take it anymore. He stood up and say, when are you going to start telling the truth? Well, we've had a couple of congressmen in the United States now get involved. It was a week ago that we had Donald Trump say, if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. I'll be happy to help. Now, we've had 2 Republicans come up and say that they're going to. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight. I have a little bit more we want to talk about here with health care, as we see that more people are getting cancer than are getting married or having babies for the first time. Absolutely amazing. So you need to think about what you can do for yourself, for your family, while you still have the time, while you still have the freedom. Make sure you keep that freedom. We've had times in the past where the government has organized, even Republicans, like Orrin Hatch has fought against this, but other Republicans have come in and said, no, we're going to limit your ability to take vitamins. Not going to let you do that. Just as they're saying to Charlie Gard, no, we're not going to let you, even though you're terminally ill, we're not going to let you or your parents take this experimental treatment. Not going to do that. Well, we have the freedom right now to take what we believe is in our best interest, and we need to preserve that freedom. And we really appreciate you supporting us. We've extended this 4th of July sale for a week. I don't know if it's going to be extended beyond today. I think today is the end of it. And let me tell you some of the things that are available here. Of course, there's free shipping store-wide. And then in addition to that, we have some massive discounts on selected products. We have 30% off Survival Shield Nascent Iodine. We have 30 to 40% off InfoWars Select Storable Food at InfoWarsStore.com. Free shipping plus 30 to 40% off storable food. That is a massive discount for that, because that's a heavy thing to ship. Shipping is an expensive thing, expensive part for something that is as large as storable food. Also, Living Defense, 20% off retail. That's the highly rated harmful organism cleanser by InfoWarsLife.com. Also, We have DNA Force back in stock, 20% off, and free shipping everywhere. So take advantage of this special. It is going to be ending, I believe, today. Free shipping store-wide, massive discounts on very popular items that are now in stock. Let's get back to this case of Charlie Gard, because this also reflects on our freedom here in America. The hospital that wanted to give free treatment to Charlie Gard said we have to talk to the FDA, make sure they're going to approve this. Do you see the problem with that? Do you see the problem with our government saying that everything is prohibited unless they expressly permit it? And they are prohibiting people from taking natural treatments like medical marijuana. And when they do that, when they assume that power over your lives, over the lives of you and your family, then they can also mandate that certain things be put into you as well. And so we have this article from The Guardian. This woman, Gabby Hensliff, writes, the Charlie Gard case is heartbreaking, but society can't shun its experts. She begins with a poem by Khalil Gibran saying, your children are not your own. Your children are not your children. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound like Melissa Harris Perry? They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. No, that's wrong. She said these words are sometimes spoken at the funeral of a child. I don't know how anybody could get any consolation from that. That is not the basis of our law, of our ethics, of our culture here in the West. That is not the basis of that. We have the right to pursue our own health care, the freedom to do that. And that's what they're denying Charlie Gard. And before we start getting so excited about the freedoms that we think we have here in America, remember Terry Schiavo? So they got a Justice Francis in the UK that is basically going to say, you got 48 hours to prove to my satisfaction that Charlie is going to benefit from this treatment. But we had a probate judge here in America, in Florida, and the two Bush brothers, one of them governor, one of them president, wouldn't lift a finger to stop that guy from killing Terry Schiavo, arresting people who would give her a drink of water. That was the abomination here in this country. Don't think that death panels won't happen here in America. They will. We have to take that power away from our government, away from the FDA, not go into this single-payer system where they make all the decisions because they control all the money. That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right, Alex. Alex Jones. That's Alex Jones, David Knight, signing off. Join us tonight for the InfoWars Nightly News, 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
And spread the word, folks. You are the InfoWar. We're nothing without you. We need your help.